Quarterly devotional. Visit theDove.us.
Attention golf lovers and local supporters. Join Rogue Valley Habitat for Humanity's inaugural golf tournament Friday, April 25th at Centennial Golf Course in Medford. Four-person scramble with 9 a.m. shotgun start. $600. Get your dream team, the full VIP treatment, greens fees, carts, prizes, tournament gear, and banquet tickets. Register by March 1st for our early bird special, a free team player pack worth $100. Time to show off those skills while helping local families achieve affordable homeownership. Register at roguevalleyhabitat.org or call 541-261-3520.
We have on our team policy experts. They're all engaged in foreign policy issues.
We actually try to go in and do something positive and actually affect change.
We had a series of cases primarily dealing with religious liberty.
Nations that had more religious freedom had better democracies.
We've taken the First Amendment, and that has been our cornerstone. It's to defend the rights of people of faith.
We not only hold our government accountable, but we hold other governments accountable.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
These are people who are saved, but they don't live like they're saved. In fact, you can't tell the difference between their lifestyle and that of the average non-believer. They are carnal Christians. I'm here to tell you, no such category of Christians exists today. No permanent category. Yes, Paul says in 1 Corinthians 3 that sometimes Christians act carnally. They act as people in the flesh, but that is not a permanent, acceptable condition for somebody who claims to be a follower of God. There are not three kinds of people in the world, there are just two. Those who follow Christ and those who disobey Christ. Those who take Christ's words seriously and obey them, and those who reject Christ's words, either openly or in their own heart while they mouth something else. The test of our faith is whether or not we obey Christ. Our commitment to the cause of Christ reflects our commitment to Christ.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
Apologetics on major issues so you can know your faith. Watch the John Ankerberg Show, weekdays at 4 on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative.
Well, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. Perry and Melinda's back.
Good morning.
And it's because we lost Jerry somewhere. He's wandering around in somebody's parking lot.
He's on the snow, though. He's totally happy.
No, he's totally happy. He's in his happy place. Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. As always, a lot going on in the news. We'll get you caught up on that. A little bit of a change towards the weather, which is going to be actually pretty pleasant as we head down the rest of the week. We call it spring teeth. Are you ready for it?
Oh, yes.
You ready?
I can't wait.
Are your chickens laying eggs?
We got 3 the other day.
3?
They're starting to. Yep.
Okay. So that's a good sign, too.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, good morning to you. A lot going on in the news, like I said. But as you can tell in front of us here, today's a special day.
It is. It's National Chocolate Covered Nut Day.
Right here.
Yes, and one of our viewers, she had the intel, and she sent us a bunch of chocolate-covered nuts.
This is from Barbara Krager. She lives down in a place called Spring Valley, California. And she's probably watching right now. And she loves the Dove. And she has sent us
a lot.
A whole box full of chocolate-covered peanut butter. Chocolate peanut, excuse me. And with instructions. Now, I want you to read this one. I want you to read that instruction right there. What's that say?
This one is for Perry to take home. The others are for the staff. You lucky dog, you.
So, thank you, Barb.
Yes.
This is wonderful. Anyway, so chocolate-covered nut day, huh?
Yeah, that's going to get us through the day. Yeah. And
Maybe
then,
those 3 will. I don't know. We'll see. They have a staff here that can eat anything, and they eat it all.
Well, especially chocolate.
There you go. All right. What else?
It is also National Clam Chowder Day.
Ooh.
Each year on February 25th, people across the nation have a bowl and spoon ready to be filled with clam chowder. So clam chowder in its simplest form is a soup or stew containing clams or fish, and the most common type includes milk or cream as well as potatoes, though the Manhattan clam chowder has tomatoes. Do you like clam chowder?
I love it.
How about our Oregon staple, Moe's? They have the best clam chowder there.
Yes, absolutely.
Have you been?
Absolutely. So do you like it creamy?
I do like it creamy.
Do you like
creamy.
other things in it or just clams?
I like the potato. I like the whole deal. I'm not more of the tomato-based one.
No,
I don't
I'm not
really
either.
Care for that. Probably because I didn't grow up on it, but
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't like the tomato bait, but this one is good. And if they throw some other fishy things in there, it's all right.
Yeah.
But actually, chunks of clams.
You like it?
I do. I like that that bread bowl.
Yeah, you have to have it in the bread bowl.
You have to have it in the bread.
And it's a perfect day today, it looks like, to have some clam chowder.
Have some clam chowder. All right, today is the day. All right, let's take a look at the weather. Let's see what's happening on the weather scene out there this morning. And, well, things are kind of calming down a little bit. Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville, all to the north end of the state, will see some showers and breezy. Excuse me, the temperatures, excuse me, will be right at the middle 50s today. Excuse me, same thing for if you're up and down the Willamette Valley, Salem, Albany down to Eugene. Showers, maybe a little wind here and there, but again, mild temperatures, middle 50s. Central Oregon, Prineville will see 50 today, mostly sunny. Bend, Redmond, and Sun River, a slight chance of some showers, then sunshine. Temperatures will be in the upper 40s. And as you swing over to Boise, 52 and partly sunny there today. Southern Oregon coast, well, chance of some showers, but then turning to sunshine. Temperatures pretty mild, 56 to 55 from Coos Bay all the way down to Crescent City. Very nice. Southern Oregon, we'll see a slight chance of rain, but turning to sunshine today. Middle 50s, pretty much for Medford, Ashland, Grants Pass. Klamath Falls will see 46 in sunshine, and Wairika 51. So pretty nice in our own backyard. Northern California, Redding, Chico, Sacramento, Roseville, all down through there. Mid to upper 60s. Very nice. Lots of sunshine today. In the Bay Area, after some fog, turning to sunshine, 69 in Santa Rosa and Napa. The city will see 66, and South and East Bay could see a 70 today. Wow. So pretty nice. There's a snapshot of your Tuesday weather. All right, and there we go.
Look at our valley.
There's our valley, all lit up. And that's moving from south to north, so we'll see a sunrise in about an hour or so. So it should be a beautiful day in the neighborhood. All right.
Terrific.
Good for you. All right.
Pastor Jack Hibbs says that if we take Jesus' claims about himself seriously, we have to conclude that he did claim to be God.
Everything that's been written from Moses and the prophets and the Psalms concerning who? Me. Jesus is speaking, and he says the whole book is written about my life, about me, about my person. We don't believe in Jesus because what? Because it's Jesus. Well, you know, I'm born in the Western world. Christianity was the dominant religion, and I guess I'm a Christian. No. No, it's Jesus, because the Bible from Genesis 3:15 to the book of Revelation chapter 22, it's all about Jesus. And Jesus says so right there. By the way, if anybody ever tells you, remember, oh, you know, Jesus never said he was God. This is a verse right here that Jesus is announcing the entire Bible was written about me. I mean, that's pretty wild. Think about it. Well, I believe Jesus was a great prophet. I don't. That's crazy. Well, I believe he's a very good person, the best person ever. I don't. That's crazy. Well, why do you say that? Because if you're saying he's the best person ever, but he's not God, then how do you explain this? Jesus said, if you die believing in me, you'll live forever. Jesus says, you come to me, your sins will be forgiven. Either that's crazy or he's God. Oh, he's a good prophet. No. You can't be a good prophet and pull that off. And you can't be a good person and say such things without being God. And yet everything he did, he said that he was going to do it in advance. It's called the Bible. Absolutely awesome. Verse 45, and he, that is the Logos, opened their understanding that they might comprehend the scriptures. that they might, in a sense, behold him. Absolutely remarkable. Security. Listen, Christian, don't say anything out loud. Right now, where you're at, do you understand that you cannot save yourself? None of us can. That's why Jesus went to the cross. You can't do it.
Pretty powerful and pretty simple. Thank you, Jack Hibbs. All right, good morning to you. 7 minutes past the hour. Let's take a look at some of the top stories. Yesterday, it looks like there was a little bit of a summit, if I can call it that. French's Macron came to the White House, and he and President Trump had a meeting. Now, this is kind of interesting because they've been a little sparky between the two of them over the last several months. And so they come to town, he comes to town, and they have a nice meeting and the kumbaya moment. That's amazing how that has. You poke them, they come to town, they hug. I don't get this. But anyway, that's what's going on. But here's Macron, a little bit of a response to yesterday's get-together.
France is America's oldest ally. Our cherished partnership has been a force for freedom, prosperity, and peace from the very beginning. We're now working on some very interesting developments, one in particular, the war between Russia and Ukraine. In the American Revolution, French support helped us to seize our destiny as an independent nation. In the First and Second World Wars, our citizens shed blood together on the battlefields of Europe. And I'll never forget joining President Macron 6 years ago on the 75th anniversary of D-Day. That was some day. The purpose of our meeting today is to end another battle, a really horrible one, a war, something that we haven't seen since the Second World War, that is ravaging European soil, the deadliest and most destructive conflict that one can imagine. I've seen the pictures, I've seen the satellite photos and lots of other photos, and it's a horrible thing that's happening. Thousands of people are dying a week. This very day is the 3rd anniversary of the invasion of Ukraine, which would never have happened if I was president. That was not going to happen. Our focus is on achieving a ceasefire as soon as possible and ultimately a permanent peace. My meeting with President Macron today was another important step forward in that sphere, because he's been very much involved right from the beginning in trying to get it over with, and we're going to get it done. I believe that Emmanuel agrees with me on many of the most important issues. Chief among them is this is the right time. It may be the only time. That's a very interesting and horrible situation, and that could evolve into a 3rd World War. We're not going to let that happen. Should have never started, but it did. And what a mess. What a horrible, bloody mess.
Well, they go on, and again, what started off to be a little rough ended up being pretty smooth, and apparently now Macron is on line for working with the president and trying to settle the war in Ukraine. So in the meantime, going over to Ukraine, President Zelensky over there was asked some tough questions, and one of them was, what would it take for you to resign? And he basically said that he would consider stepping down as president of Ukraine if it meant that the nation would be accepted into NATO. Now, this is interesting. I don't know where this is going to go. The first response of Ukraine being accepted into NATO from the United States was no. The way that President Trump is handling the whole Ukraine war negotiation is clearly out of the box. He's criticized the president of Ukraine, called him a dictator, all kinds of nasty names, with the understanding, this is kind of weird, Ukraine didn't invade itself. Russia invaded Ukraine. And some people are upset that it looks like President Trump is placating more to Putin than he is to Zelensky. What is this all about? In the meantime, Saudi Arabia's crown prince is brought into the negotiation, and that is to hopefully make some kind of a deal where they all come together and work it out. I read an article yesterday that gave me a little bit of an insight, not that I understand it, but it does give a little light as to why President Trump may be moving to work with Putin a little bit more about settling this than just supporting Ukraine. Now, the Ukraine's got a lot of problems. Its government's pretty corrupt. The other problem is, where did all the money go? That question has to be asked. But is it, and I'll put it in the form of a question, is it possible by President Trump working with Putin to settle the war, he is weakening Putin's reliance on China and more on the United States? There's another part of this we don't understand, and that is the minerals that are involved. And who wants to get the minerals? And some of the minerals in Ukraine has got the eye of the president. The whole thing is very complicated. We'll have to wait and see. But they're working towards some kind of an agreement, and hopefully within the next week or so, they'll bring an end to this war. They both have expressed they want it to stop, but they keep on fighting, which is the oddity of all of this. All right, one other quick story, and that is, I mentioned it briefly yesterday, but it's pretty raw, and that is California Governor Gavin Newsom sent a letter Friday to Congress asking for $40 billion in fighting the fires in Southern California, or at least fire relief. 2 weeks after signing a $50 million spending bill, to fight the Trump administration on immigration and other policies. So on one hand, he's asking the government for $40 billion, and on the other hand, he went to his own legislature and got $50 million to fight the president on immigration issues and other things. I don't know where this is going to go.
No.
I don't know. And with FEMA now pretty much in the crosshairs, who knows where this is going to go. But I thought it was pretty gutsy where he is signing bills in Sacramento going after the president, or at least refusing his immigration policy, and then turns around and puts his hand out for $40 billion.
Yeah.
This is a catastrophic failure across the board in so many ways. But in the meantime, innocent people are without homes.
Oh, yeah.
And all kinds of nonprofit organizations down there are helping people, where the government and the state is doing basically nothing. It is one sad. You got family down there.
I do. I'm from there. The Eaton fire had affected numerous family members, and we know many people that lost their homes. And, you know, it's easy to say that area is lost, but all of my family are believers down there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot down there. And let's just pray that there's a shift. And by Newsom doing these things, that perhaps it's just going to secure people's opinions to
get rid of them.
Differently.
Yeah, have an election, make a leadership change, but it does pull a community together.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're working together. Humanity does its best under stresses like this, in spite of all the politics. So I'm glad to see that and hear that. So in the meantime, the Pope.
The Pope. Well, Ray Thompson from the Vatican City joins Newsmax Newsline and reports on Pope Francis being awake and receiving treatment despite kidney failure and respiratory issues.
Yeah, the Vatican says he is awake and receiving that treatment he was prescribed, describing the 10th night in hospital as restful. That is the word they're using. But there are still worrying signs, notably, as you mentioned earlier, the fact that he had a kidney failure event on Sunday, and just a day before that, he had a severe respiratory episode. This is not signs of progress or recovery. We know that over the weekend, the Pope has received at least 2 blood transfusions, as well as at several points he has been hooked up to a high-flow oxygen machine. Doctors saying it is under control for now, but again emphasizing in these multiple health reports that by no means he is out of the woods just yet. And it would be difficult, doctors note, independent of the Vatican, to recover from this, even for someone who is half the age of Pope Francis, who is 88 years old. The Vatican emphasizing at several points as they give these updates that though he is the pontiff, Bianca, he is also just human.
He is just human.
Yes, we all are at the end of the day, aren't
yes.
we? The only thing I can say is these reports are not good. And I think the obvious is not occurring. He's not getting out and exercising. He's not moving. And kidney failure is one thing. Blood transfusions is something else. I would imagine behind the scenes the Vatican is scrambling and putting things together. I think his end of his rule, if I can put it that way, his what do they there's a term for it.
Reign.
Yeah, whatever. His administration is coming to an end. And so they're probably scrambling behind the scenes, getting things ready for that.
Yes, because it's my understanding, I was reading yesterday, that no one can replace the Pope and his duties, right?
No.
So you have the Cardinal, who can do other duties but cannot do the Pope's duties, right?
Right.
Yeah. So if the Pope is...
Yeah, well, he's failing.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like we watched with President Biden. So he's still president, but who was running the show? All these other people behind the scene.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have the same setup in the Vatican, where they have a lot of people, staff, and others around the Pope, because his office responsibility is tremendous. So it appears to me that they're doing the best they can, but it looks like there is going to be a change. It's imminent, and the question is when and how will that occur? And then the next thing is who will be the next Pope, which is amazing.
Yes, and it sounds like that's a little controversial.
It is. Yeah, the Cardinals are pretty well split these days. Everything I read about him is that he's changed a lot in the Cardinals. He's thrown some out. He's put some new ones in. He's shaped it up. It kind of makes you long for the days of Pope Benedict. He was very good. Pope John Paul II, he was very good. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it doesn't look good. In our thoughts and prayers to all involved there. All right, we'll take a quick break. We have some backyard bragging coming up in a few moments here.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express. Breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
Get ready for fun at Rogue Ski Shop Think Snow Sale. Boulder Gear clothing now 20% off. Goggles, adults starting at $29, kids starting at $26. All Scott gloves 20% off. If you ski or ride, it's time to slide into Rogue Ski Shop Medford.
Spring is around the corner and summer is on its way. With fire danger biting at its heels, flammable blackberries and underbrush will grow like gangbusters and sprout fire danger in no time. A wise property owner knows the best time to take care of fire danger is to extinguish it before it gets started. GMV Forestry, LLC can help you protect your property with adequate fire brush clearing to fireproof a zone around your precious property. With over 35 years experience, GMV Forestry LLC has the knowledge, experience, and all the equipment you need to get the job done right, offering a wide variety of services like mulching, field mowing, snow removal, driveway clearing, ditch cleaning, gravel delivery and spreading, driveway sweeping, logging, and more. GMV Forestry LLC does it all, and they do it right. GMV Forestry LLC, the team you can trust. 541-660-6445. 541-660-6445.
Life is complicated enough. Why worry about what to do with your extra car? Skip the costs of maintaining it, storing it, insuring it, or renewing registration. Car repairs? Forget about it. Here's one easy solution to your car problem. Donate it to our station. It's fast, free, tax deductible, and if you donate, you're going to feel incredible knowing you're supporting quality programming. Interested? Just call this toll-free number or donate online. Thank you.
Okay, welcome back. It's 20 minutes now past the hour. A little bit of state news that our Oregon legislature is in session right now, and there's a law, it's a House bill on the table, 2953, and apparently this is getting some traction, and Oregon law restricts how much money schools can get from the state for students with disabilities. Well, lawmakers and parents are considering raising what they call the decades-old cap on that spending, and the bill could even eliminate the cap entirely and gain traction for special needs students. This will be interesting. I don't know how much of a problem this is other than it is growing and part of the education system. I do know that special eds teacher, if I can remember that term, special eds teacher, they're the ones that are trained to work with students with disability. They're really in demand these days. So we'll keep an eye on that. But apparently that has popped up in the legislature, and it's heading towards either repeal or the cap will be raised. We don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, let's take a little backyard bragging this morning, okay? And this is kind of good. First of all, let me talk about a situation in Phoenix, Oregon. And this goes back to the Alameda fire. And I would say that former Mayor Terry Baker and the council there that worked during unbelievable situations to bring that town alive. And I want to say to all the community, the county, the city, the county council, the Mayor Terry Baker, and the county commissioners, everybody worked together to get this town restored. Well, Phoenix is an amazing example. It's popping up out of the ground. And new commercial development includes a Creek Outfitters, Starbucks, a Dollar General store, and Taco Bell are just 5 new ones added to the many that are already there. Some are under construction, some are about to open. So again, a great testament to how community can work together after a disaster and bring a town alive. Have you driven down through there? Have you been to the new Blackbird?
No, I haven't. I've only driven past it. I liked it. Have you been inside?
Oh gosh, it's wonderful.
It's so exciting. I think I'll just have to take a little staycation on a Saturday and go check out all the...
You hop in the car, go down there and do all these shops down there, and of course the new City Hall, fire station, all that. That's all a testament to the administration during that time, and they've done a wonderful, wonderful job. Some other backyard news. It looks like Provident nurses have finally settled after 2 attempts. They had a strike, and then they settled, and they didn't have then they had a strike again. Well, apparently they've settled, and it's announced now that on the 21st everything came together. And looking at the percentages and the pay increases, the only thing I can say is, wow. So hopefully that's all put behind us now and they can move on. Another great backyard story is the Brit Festival. Everybody enjoys Brit. You could probably listen to it in your backyard.
I probably can, yeah.
All right, well, they bought the Brit Festival business office, bought the old U.S. Hotel on Main Street in Jacksonville, and they've been a while trying to get ready. Well, they're going to move into it after all this time, and this has been in their... on their docket for many, many years. Over 35 years, they had a desire to move their administration office to Jacksonville. And this building came available, and they were able to purchase it and move the Brit Festival Arts, Brit Music and Arts Festival operations into the old U.S. Hotel. Isn't that cool?
That's great. They should be there in town.
They should be there in town.
I know. I'm so excited for this year's lineup. And
yeah.
They're having a deal on this weekend, aren't they? At 2 o'clock. Is it Saturday or Sunday? And I was looking forward to popping by. I think they're having an open house.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
So check out their website and see if you could go down and support them.
Brit Festival scheduling celebration. Free opening house, 1 to 5 on March 2nd.
Yeah.
Sunday.
I'm going to be there.
There you go. Boy, you're on top of it.
Well, it's
my
you
neighborhood.
Yeah.
You walk by that every day.
I do.
Okay, so anyway, check that out. Congratulations. This is just kind of rounds the picture out all the way around. All right, let's take a look at the satellite image. Here's what's happening. We have a system off there, but if you look at it closely, how it's moving, it's counterclockwise, and it'll slowly go to the north of us, leaving behind most of California, Oregon, and then parts of southern Washington will start to clear up. We'll start to see some temperatures over the next couple of days, well into the 60s starting tomorrow. So we look forward to that.
Yes, we do.
There you go.
Well, Sarah Nelson from the Association of Flight Attendants, CWA president, joins Fox News and says flying is still the safest form of transportation.
I want to really emphasize that aviation is still the safest form of travel in the world. And so we understand that people are concerned about the safety in aviation, but that is because of these crashes. And that is also why, after a string of crashes in the 1990s, there was an effort to put in place a risk predictive model so that we can predict the risk, plug the holes, create redundancies to avoid any incidents like this. And that's what we have to get back to and focus on here. We have to get the report from the NTSB on all of these investigations, assess where we may need to put some mitigation factors in place. But I want to emphasize just again that this is still the safest form of transportation.
Well, I have to say yes to that, because when you just look at the number of flights in the skies, The number of passengers. And you realize at any given moment over the United States, there's 1 million people up there?
That much?
Can you imagine?
No, that's actually
flying around up there. And as a pilot, I can tell you, with the new technology that they have today in flying, it's really amazing what pilots have access to and the information they have. And I will say this, I sit on the airport committee here, which is an honor for me to do that. I have for quite a few years. And we kind of get some inside information. And I want to say to professional pilots that really take their job, they do take their job very seriously, and they don't take risk. We had a couple of days here where our weather system wasn't working correctly, and even though it was a bluebird weather out there, it was against the rules, and they didn't go.
Oh.
Because the stuff in the air wasn't working right. And I got to thinking about that, and I thought, that is wonderful, that pilots will adhere to not only a company policy, but also to the safety standards of flying. So.
Well, that's encouraging.
She's absolutely right. Yeah, it is. You know, flying can get.
You want to feel safe.
I will say this: it squeezes your pressure.
Yeah.
You know, when you're late and you have 30 minutes to make it. Can't tell you how many times I'd go into Salt Lake City. I mean, at this end of the airport, and I got 20 minutes to get to this end of the airport to catch another flight.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You know, and so, and then what's bad about that is you have to pass all the great restaurants.
While your stomach's growling.
Yeah, you're running through this airport and you see this little shop, you want to go over here, you see this little place, you want to sample that. But anyway, so good stuff all the way around. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
And now where would I be without you? Where would I be, Jesus?
It can be puzzling assembling all the right pieces for your insurance needs in retirement. I'm Michelle Slate. Lighthouse Financial shines guiding light on retirement, investing, and insurance. Guiding you through the stormy seas of insurance, Lighthouse stands out as a beacon of hope, offering you wise counsel and biblically responsible investing. Lighthouse Financial. Call us today, 541-494-1034.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Looking for the perfect RV adventure?
Team Toner's got you covered from home to Homes on Wheels.
Discover unbeatable deals only at American RV in Southern Oregon.
If you enjoy the Dove TV, tell a friend or family member. If they can't receive a signal, the Dove streams worldwide on Roku and Apple TV, plus online at theDove.us. Help encourage someone who needs hope. Spread the word about the Dove TV.
All right, good morning to you. It's 1:30 on a beautiful Tuesday morning with the change in the weather. And, well, a lot going on in the Middle East. You got the Middle East, and then you got Ukraine. Wow. Let's check in with CBN Newswatch. They'll tell us all about it.
This is CBN Newswatch.
Got a lot to get to on this Tuesday. I want to begin in the Middle East, where talks for the next stage of the hostage release deal are underway. And even as that's happening, Hamas is preparing for war again, if necessary, including mobilizing thousands of terrorists. according to YNet News. And even as negotiations continue for long-term solutions in Gaza, Palestinian clerics are leading a campaign of hatred. Chris Mitchell reports now from Jerusalem. They're using sermons to call for genocide against the Jews.
In a Friday exhortation from Ramallah, senior judiciary official Dr. Abdullah Harb prayed for the extermination of all Jews. Itamar Marcus, founder of Palestinian Media Watch, tells CBN News his organization has discovered a trend in Palestinian Authority messaging.
5 times in probably the last 6 months, we've heard the expression, count the Jews, Allah, count the Jews one by one, kill them one by one, don't leave even one.
And these prayers come from top Islamic officials.
Some of them are Sharia judges, some of them are heads of the Sharia courts. These are very senior people in the religious establishment.
Marcus adds these sermons carry added weight, given the religious connection.
When you are telling people that they have to kill Jews because this is what their God wants, then you can't argue with them, you can't discuss with them, you can't reason with them, because they believe that this is fulfillment of Islam for them. And that's why it's such a difficult situation Israel is in.
This so-called fulfillment also led to widespread celebrations on October 7th.
And that's why the film showed the Palestinians from Gaza celebrating and so happy while they were murdering Jews, because they believed they were doing something for God.
When the world hears students and protesters chant from the river to the sea, many argue that's specifically about the Palestinians' right to the land. Marcus disagrees.
People like to believe that the Palestinians have a problem with Israel over territory, but when you listen to the leadership, and especially the religious leadership, you find that the Jews are the source of evil in the world. They teach that Israel was only created because the Europeans in particular had to get rid of the Jews. The ultimate solution is Allah will bring about destruction of all the Jews, and then the world will be a much better place. This is Palestinian Authority ideology.
Many of these protests in streets and capitals all over, they're calling Israel that Israel is committing genocide. How do you compare the two?
There's nothing to compare. Israel is trying to kill terrorists. The terrorists are hiding behind civilians. German civilians were killed all the time because there were soldiers amongst them. Nobody said that the Allies had to send in water and food for the German civilians while Germany was being destroyed by the Allies. Absolutely not. But here they have a different standard for Israel.
U.S. taxpayers have paid more than $16 billion to fund the Palestinians since the year 2000, not including money for UNRWA, the United Nations Work and Relief Agency. The European Union's combined contributions total $23 billion from 2007 to 2023. Critics call this nothing more than direct support of terrorism.
The Palestinian Authority should be designated today as a terror organization, should be sanctioned as a terror organization, and don't allow them to visit your country and don't give them a penny.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Turn now to your more evidence of people turning against their government in populist uprising as voters in Germany, upset over an economic crisis and an open border policy, gave the right-wing party Alternative for Germany second place in national election Sunday behind the Conservatives. Those elections coming after Vice President J.D. Vance's recent address to NATO allies highlighted a growing gap between the U.S. and Europe. Vance scolded the leaders for trampling on free speech, as well as ignoring voters who are turning to parties on the right in growing numbers. Dale Hurt has the story.
It was clear from Vice President J.D. Vance's speech to NATO allies in Munich that at least politically, Western Europe and the United States under Donald Trump are moving away from each other. Vance took leaders to task over the rampant state-supported censorship in many European nations. And while Vance simply defended free speech, at least some of the liberal European elites in his audience saw him as giving aid and comfort to their political enemies on the European right. Those parties are becoming a major force. Vance addressed the issue of European elites trying to keep right-wing parties out of power.
A seismic political shift to the right was already underway in many Western democracies.
Now, with the election of Donald Trump, the movement has become even more energized. What one European leader calls the Trump tornado has struck Europe. Many British and Europeans feel they have become poorer and less free. Eurozone growth has stagnated under climate change regulations from Brussels, and the average EU nation would now qualify as one of the poorest states in the U.S. Germany, once among the world's strongest economies, is now deindustrializing to meet radical green energy goals, what the Wall Street Journal calls the world's dumbest energy policy. German economist and journalist Sabine Beppler-Spall says Germans see their falling standard of living and want a leader who will do something about it.
There is a very strong mood within a large sector of German population for very fundamental changes, for real changes.
If Trump's term is successful and Europe falls even farther behind the U.S. economically, it will only put more pressure on European elites trying to keep right-wing parties out of power. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Wow, a lot there. And we'll see how this plays out. But Europe's going through a little bit of an earthquake over there. We'll see what happens. All right, let's take a look at the weather for you on this Tuesday. And the north end of the state, up around McMinnville, all the way up through Portland and Vancouver, looking for showers and breezy weather today, but mild temperatures in the mid to upper 50s, so very nice. All the way through the Willamette Valley, pretty much the same thing. Showers here and there, a little breezy at times. Temperatures in the low to mid 50s. Very nice from Eugene to Salem and out around Albany and Corvallis. Over on the east side, Prineville, Bend, and Sand River will be mostly sunny. There may be a little snow in the morning, but then sunshine in the afternoon. Temperatures kind of mild, upper 40s to around 50. Over to Boise, very nice, 52 and partly sunny. And then back over to the Oregon coast, Coos Bay, Port Orford, Brookings, and Crescent City. Well, a chance of some rain, and then the sunshine will pop out. Temperatures kind of mild, mid-50s to the upper 60s, or 50s, excuse me. And so pretty nice along the Oregon coast. Our own backyard, Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland, mid-50s today. Could see a little rain this morning, but mostly sunshine is in the forecast. Klamath Falls, 46 and sunny, and Wairika, 51 and sunny. And then into the Central Valley, Redding, Chico, Marysville, Yuba City, Sacramento, down through there, mid to upper 60s. Lots of sunshine, so very nice in the Central Valley. The Bay Area, warming up. Santa Rosa and Napa, upper 60s today after a little fog. Lots of sunshine. The city will see 66 and sunny weather. And South and East Bay, it could touch 70 degrees today. And that's a snapshot of your Tuesday weather. And there we are from the top of Roxanne, looking out over the valley today, and a little bit of low clouds, a little fog this morning, but expected to clear up. And a beautiful picture of our backyard right there. All right.
Well, it depicts an event that is the cornerstone of our faith, and it was on this day in history that the movie Passion of the Christ opened in U.S. theaters.
On February 25, 2004, the air was thick with anticipation as The Passion of the Christ premiered in theaters across the United States. The film, directed by Mel Gibson, was unlike any other. It was raw, emotional, and intensely powerful, telling the story of Jesus' final hours in a way that many had never seen before. People lined up for tickets, some eager to witness a religious journey, others curious about the controversial portrayal of Christ's suffering. As the credits rolled, a hush fell over the theater. Some sat in stunned silence, wiping away tears. Others whispered about the film's unflinching violence and its bold approach to faith. In churches and homes, debate sparked. Was the film a beautiful testament to Jesus' sacrifice or a cinematic, graphic spectacle? No matter the opinions, it was clear. The Passion of the Christ had left an indelible mark on cinema and the hearts of millions. It was more than just a movie. It was an experience.
And boy, was it. You've seen it.
We were at the NRB, and they showed it to the NRB a couple of days before it was released. And I'll never forget it because there was literally open wailing and crying in the audience. And you were stunned. You came out of there, you were completely stunned. You couldn't You couldn't put words together what you just experienced and saw. And the interesting thing about that, I think it was one of the most successful movies of all time, but never even got an Academy mention. Which you wouldn't expect.
Surprised?
And well, I'm not surprised, and it's not that you would do it for that, but you would think its own industry would recognize how
especially because it was
successful
Mel Gibson, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was so popular at that time when he directed this.
Now he's not over. He's got something else.
I know. It's exciting. So The Passion of the Christ was released on Ash Wednesday, and now his sequel, Passion of the Christ Resurrection, is going to be released April 18th, right before Easter.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
Well, he was interviewed about that. He's an interesting guy. I mean, he's had a colorful life, but he has this deep conviction, and he expresses it through his talent and through the arts. And so they're saying that this could be equally as moving as the Passion of the Christ.
Oh, I'm sure. What a time. I think it's a good time for us culturally to have this reminder and this hope and get us through our life is
Amen to that one.
Like day to day.
All right, good morning. All right, well, listen, are you blessed?
Beyond measure.
Okay, so how do you measure blessed? You know, and what is it to be blessed? Well, William Osborne from Crossway discusses what it looks like to be blessed.
When we turn our attention to these verses in Romans chapter 8, 31 and 32 especially, as always, we need to take these verses in context. We need to let them speak where they are. And many have noticed how Paul seems to be kind of wrapping up a discussion that he started in chapter 5. So Romans 8 really kind of ends a big section of Paul's thinking in the book of Romans. And it's important. It's weighty. Romans 8 is a beautiful chapter that talks about life in the Spirit for God's people, the future of creation and how it's tied to that, how God's love is inseparable, how we can embrace God's plan for us in the midst of suffering. All of these are gospel issues for Paul. So when we get to Romans 8:31, Paul says, who can be against us if God is for us? And that idea is central to the notion of blessing. Blessing is this: God is for us. God is good to us. That's what it means for us to live blessed lives. And it's as though Paul is saying, you want proof that God is for you, Christian? If you need proof that God is for you, He who gave His only Son, right? What is the proof that God is for us? Where else do we need to look other than God giving the most valuable thing in the universe, offering up His one and only Son for His people? Will He not then graciously give us all things? So this text is arguing from the greater to the lesser. It's saying God has given the most valuable thing in the world for His people to show you that He is good to you. What is He going to withhold? Is it really the fact that God's going to withhold the car that you need? Is God really going to keep good things from you when He's giving Jesus? And so this text points us, I think, to the fact that as Christians, we can find comfort knowing, one, God is for us. Two, God has already given us the greatest blessing we can ever have in the redemptions that's offered through His Son, Jesus. And three, we have an eternal hope of blessing that looks like God giving us everything He ever intended us to have with Him. That's an important part of 8:32. This isn't just God benevolently saying, okay, I'm going to just, this grandfather in the sky, give everybody everything that they want. No, it is something that we possess in Christ, that it is with Him He will graciously give us all things. So for God's people, like Paul, we can say, I may be encountering suffering now, I might be hurting now, I might be imprisoned now, but those things do not compare to the glory that is to be revealed in His coming. And what is that glory? Nothing short of the all things that God intends us to have as His people, that future blessing that we await.
What a perspective. Sometimes I think we just think it's all about feelings and things when we forget the essential part of becoming a believer, and that in itself, the blessing that you are now in His family. Let that resonate in your heart today. All right, 14 minutes before the hour, we'll take a quick chocolate-covered peanut break. Thank you, Barb. You, the lady. You have made our morning.
Yes,
and that extra bag that you put out there, oh, we'll be right back.
Everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire in me. You are the fire.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
Hey, this is Ed, co-owner of Visiting Angels. To continue to serve our seniors, we need more caregivers with a heart to serve. Our mission statement is honoring the art of giving, which means we honor you, the caregiver. We know it's our people that make Visiting Angels the best in-home care provider and a great place to work. Come be our next amazing caregiver. Give us a call or apply online. At Visiting Angels, we're committed to you because we honor the art of giving.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
The biblical instructions for coming to Christ are repentance and faith. So repentance, that is turning away from your lifestyle of sin, and faith, trusting in the Lord Jesus Christ alone.
There is truth in this world because God created it, and His Word is truth. We see this laid out in the Bible, the foundation to a reasonable faith. And that faith is centered on Jesus Christ and His great work.
Monday, Friday, and Saturday on the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. 12 minutes before the hour. Me and Melinda, she's here, and she has got one hand under the table, and then it sneaks around and is reaching for the chocolate-covered peanuts over there.
What's it telling me?
That's what we have. We got three. Look at that, 3 big jars of them. And Barb sent these to us. Now this one says, it's mine, keep your hands off. This one says, should be refrigerated when not
out for consumption.
Okay.
Well, I don't think it's even going to make it to the refrigerator.
This one says, well, today is National Chocolate-Covered Nut Day.
Yep.
So, wow, good stuff. Thanks, Barb. All right, good morning to you. Well, yesterday I had Ruthie Bloom on. She's an amazing lady. She used to work in the office with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. She's one of the chief editors at the Jewish News Syndicate there in Jerusalem. And when we call, she gives us time. I mean, it's amazing. She just stops and says, yeah, we'll talk. And we had a long conversation yesterday. One of the discussions had to do with the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas there in Gaza. Is it going to hold? Here's what she had to say.
We're hearing reports that the Israeli government denied today that Hamas has agreed to release 2 bodies still held captive in Gaza today or tomorrow, ahead of Thursday. On Thursday, they were supposed to release 4 bodies. And Israel, because of what Hamas did on Saturday, when it released, first of all, when it released the bodies last Thursday of one of the hostages, an 83-year-old man named Oded Lifshitz, and then 3 other dead bodies, the family members, a mother and her 2 babies, the Bivas family. Now, when the bodies were brought for forensic examination, it turned out that the mother was not her body. And only the following day did Hamas return the body. And then on Saturday, we had a release of 6 live hostages. Now, in each case, there was a disgusting display of all these Gazans came out to celebrate and cheer and jeer. It was horrific. So, as a result, Prime Minister Netanyahu said, okay, we're not releasing the 630 terrorists from our jails because you violated this agreement by having all that disgusting display. So now the negotiation is such that we are trying to get some more bodies and live hostages before Thursday's deadline. And may I add one other thing? When the 6 hostages were released on Saturday, Hamas brought 2 other hostages in a van right near the Red Cross van, by the way, to show them the release of hostages. And the 2 of them were told to say, oh my God, we want to get out. First of all, they do want to get out. We want to go home. And it was a propaganda video, but these 2 poor guys, emaciated guys, in a van next to the Red Cross van, pleading to be let out. And this is just another example of Hamas's cruelty.
It's hard for us to process this here in the West. If it was happening in the United States, maybe our brains would be a little bit different. But the barbarianism that's being displayed here, and then when they released those 4 bodies, the 2 children, they thought the other one was the mother. It wasn't. It was just somebody, so to speak, which in itself just shows you their disregard for human life. Then the next day they released the body of the mother. So the mother and 2 beautiful children were murdered. By the way, the forensic tests show that they were murdered. So the barbarianism at a level that we can't even process in our brain. No. It's just beyond human. And then she wrote an article that's up there at the JNS News site, if you want to go there, the difference between Israeli children and Palestinian children who have given in to Hamas. So there's a fine line there. Right. Because not all Palestinians are part of Hamas, but some have joined the cause. And how, when those 2 babies were being released, those 2 bodies, the children in the street were praising and jumping up and down and excited because their mission as children, they've been so indoctrinated that killing another child for their cause was something to celebrate. That shows you the evilness of the world. And folks, this is real stuff. This isn't stuff you're just reading in there. This is real evil being displayed in our evening news and across this. And I think we ought to wake up that this has got a long ways to go. It deserves our prayers and our efforts, but boy, it is serious as all get out. All right, 7 minutes before the hour. I have a couple people coming on. I look forward to Rainier Zettelman, historian, sociologist, wrote a book called The Unbreakable Spirit Rising Above All Odds, and he'll help us understand the problem with what happened in Germany. Supposedly they have elected somebody on the right when the person that they supposedly have elected hasn't finalized yet, basically says he's not going to pay any attention to Trump. What is this? I don't know. This is way out of my bailiwick, so we'll figure this out coming up a little bit. And then John O'Connor, it's always good to have him around. He's an amazing guy, former federal prosecutor at all levels. And the question I have for John is a lot of things, and that is a lot of these lawsuits that are coming up against the president and the administration, where do they go, and how lawful are they? And the other thing is, I need to get a further understanding, can ICE go in over the top of a sanctuary state? I don't know the answer to that. If you listen to ICE, you'd say, yes, they have the authority, but do they? And are we setting ourselves up for some kind of a Article 10 crises in the United States, which is state rights? So we'll see about that. All that's coming up in just a little bit. Okay.
In an interview about a mother's wisdom, Ruth Bell Graham talks about the trials of raising her sons.
Do we have her?
How did you respond when you first realized that those boys were wandering from the narrow way?
Well, first let me say I'm grateful that God gave us 3 girls to practice on first.
Gave you 3 girls first?
To practice on first. When the boys came along, and I realized that they were trying to seek their own identity. See, the girls eventually could marry and change their names, but the boys were stuck with the name Graham. And I really think part of it was rebellion and part of it was trying to seek their own identity. I tried to make a difference between moral issues and non-moral issues. And so many things that we make issues out of are not moral issues. Now, to me, moral issue would be lying, stealing, cheating, even disrespect. But tracking dirt in the house, an occasional fight with your brother.
Okay, sorry to cut that short. We're going to run out of time. We'll get that for you in full. That is a rare footage of Ruth Bell and talking about her two sons. And Franklin was the prodigal. Have you ever read his book?
No.
The Prodigal Son, or I think it's called The Prodigal, something like that. Anyway, he was pretty wild.
Oh.
I mean,
Didn't know that
like
about him.
really wild. He flew airplanes and rode motorcycles and went crazy, and then finally got turned around. No, don't point that finger at me.
You flew planes, I rode motorcycles. Look at us now.
There we go. And we're still on the air. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Leiser with Leiser Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
With the words, "Behold, a sower went out to sow," Jesus begins the legendary Matthew 13 parable of the sower about God's word and draws attention to the need for good soil in order to bear fruit. This question of good soil motivates and challenges every Christian parent. Can good soil be nurtured in the lives of our children? A similar question was asked by the ancient Greeks concerning virtue. Drawing upon classical traditions like the trivium and the liberal arts, classical Christian schools are coming alongside Christian parents to do just that, nurture good soil and virtue. Now in our 8th year serving Jackson County, Knox Academy, the Rogue Valley's own K-12 classical Christian school, is relocating to downtown Medford in order to better assist parents as they educate their children. We are currently enrolling students for the 25-26 school year. Visit us at knoxmedford.com for more information. Invest in a future with a strong connection to the past for good soil, deep roots, and fruit at knoxmedford.com.
Hello, everyone in Dove Land. My name is Todd Friel, host of Wretched TV, inviting you to join us for Wretched, the TV program I host. If you have evangelism heebie-jeebies, you're terrified to share your faith.
Weekday mornings on the Dove, it's one of the longest running shows in broadcast history, the 700 Club. Informative with the day's top events. Encouraging with uplifting stories of faith. The 700 Club, weekdays on the Dove TV. Piercing the darkness with the light of truth. Pathway to Victory with Dr. Robert Jeffress on the Dove TV. Encouraging and informative.
Good morning. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. And there she is. Melinda Roberts is with me again today. Jerry is just lost somewhere if you see him. He probably has some skis on. Just send him home eventually. Send him home. Anyway, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Happy Tuesday to you. A lot going on in the news. There always is. And the weather is a-changing to what could be a little bit of a spring tease. We'll get that for you. And just good stuff all the way around. But today is, we have some special things.
Yes, well, it's National Chocolate Covered Nut Day.
See this?
And one of our viewers sent us copious amounts of chocolate covered peanuts.
Yes, Barbara Krager down in Spring Valley, California. She loves the Dove. We love her.
We love her now.
Yeah, she's a transplant. She should come home, Barbie. You just ought to come back to Southern Oregon. But she watches us online, loves the Dove. We got this box yesterday, and the man, I go, what's this? And I open, of course, it's Barbara. Okay, but I want you to read that sign. So they all came with a little sign on the back, a little sticky note. Read that one for me, Melinda. What's it
This
say?
one is for Perry to take home. The staff, the others are for the staff. Okay, staff, here's our portion.
So these are 3 nice big things of chocolate-covered peanuts. They're like potato chips. You can't eat one.
Oh, no.
You keep doing it. So
There's nothing like the crunch of the nut and the chocolate over. It's the best. It's my favorite.
She sent a couple of little bags, and I put them out there on the counter. Gone. So anyway, thank you, Barb. You're a sweetheart. So there we go. Chocolate covered nut today. We're celebrating. Good stuff all the way.
It's also, Perry, National Clam Chowder Day.
Ooh.
Do you like a good bowl of clam chowder?
I do once in a while, yes.
Yeah, I think you mentioned before that you like it in the sourdough bowl. That is my preference as well. Clam chowder in its simplest form is a super stew containing clams or fish. The most common type of chowder includes milk or cream as well as potatoes, though the Manhattan clam chowder has tomatoes. Do you like the tomato kind or the potato kind?
I like the potato. I don't.
Me too.
I don't think I'd like the tomatoes. I'm not too fond of tomatoes anyway, but
the creaminess.
Oh, the creaminess of that, and but inside that sourdough bread bowl. Ooh, look at that.
And then you start breaking the bowl apart, getting.
Yeah.
It's such a
By
treat.
the way, our Dan Chase Anna makes sourdough loaves of bread.
Oh yeah.
They are to die for.
I saw one the other day. It was beautiful.
Oh,
the
gosh,
pattern
they're
on
beautiful.
it.
I never
She's so
thought about
talented.
cutting it out and putting a bunch of clam chowder in there. Why not?
Why not? You
Yeah.
and Peggy could just enjoy a whole bowl to yourselves.
So what a combination. 2 things to eat today. We have chocolate-covered nuts. In our case, it's peanuts right here in front of us. And then clam chowder.
Yeah, we've got lunch and dessert covered.
So go for it. All right, let's check in with Jerry's twin brother and find out what's happening with the weather. In the north end of the state, up around McMinnville, all the way up through Portland and Vancouver, looking for showers and breezy weather today, but mild temperatures in the mid to upper 50s, so very nice. All the way through the Willamette Valley, pretty much the same thing. Showers here and there, a little breezy at times. Temperatures in the low to mid 50s, very nice from Eugene to Salem. And out around Albany and Corvallis. Over on the east side, Prineville, Bend, and Sand River will be mostly sunny. There may be a little snow in the morning, but then sunshine in the afternoon. Temperatures kind of mild, upper 40s to around 50. Over to Boise, very nice, 52 and partly sunny. And then back over to the Oregon coast, Coos Bay, Port Orford, Brookings, and Crescent City. Well, a chance of some rain, and then the sunshine will pop out. Temperatures kind of mild, mid 50s to the upper 60s, or 50, excuse me. And so pretty nice along the Oregon coast. Our own backyard, Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland, mid 50s today. Could see a little rain this morning, but mostly sunshine is in the forecast. Klamath Falls, 46 and sunny, and Wairika, 51 and sunny. And then into the Central Valley, Redding, Chico, Marysville, Yuba City, Sacramento, down through there, mid to upper 60s. Lots of sunshine, so very nice in the Central Valley. The Bay Area, warming up. Santa Rosa and Napa, upper 60s today after a little fog. Lots of sunshine. The city will see 66 and sunny weather. And South and East Bay, it could touch 70 degrees today. Okay, look at that, a beautiful sunrise.
Yes.
Let's see here. That's off the top of Roxanne, but I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, well, anyway, that's a sunrise. I think it is. And, oh, no, it is a sunrise. I'm just not sure of the location. Okay, beautiful, isn't it?
Wow.
All right, good stuff all the way around.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Pastor Jack Hibbs says God's word keeps going and never stops.
I don't know if this is good or bad, but the other day, last night actually, over by P.F. Chang's, you know, there's a whole lineup of Teslas getting charged up. Some people are sitting in their car reading books. Seriously, I said, what are they doing in there? They're reading a book. Why are they reading a book? Because they're charging their batteries. And this one guy, I've never seen this happen before. You got to hand it to this guy. Some guy pulled up in a big Ford pickup truck and just parked right in one of those Tesla parks. I mean, he turned off he had his diesel going. and turn that thing off. He got off and he just walked into P.F. Chang's, and I'm thinking, that's awesome. He didn't plug it in. He couldn't find a parking spot. So he parked where the electric car is supposed to park. Ate his dinner, got back in his truck. The people are still sitting there reading their book. God's word's not like that. In fact, tonight, if the conditions are right and everything goes off, at about 7:13 this evening, look to the west and watch Elon Musk launch a rocket. And you'll see it go out. And listen, that thing not only picks up speed, but once it gets into space, it keeps going. And you're going to watch it. You'll lose sight of it just south of Hawaii. By the time it's just a little speck. What's going on? It's accelerating. And then it gets into an atmosphere that it doesn't diminish. It just keeps going. Think about that regarding the Bible. God launched the Bible through his prophets. He launched the Bible through Abraham. He launched the Bible through Moses, through Deborah. You name the great men and women of the Bible. And that truth of his never diminishes. It keeps going. It doesn't run out. Well, that was then. Today's now. The Bible doesn't lose any power. What we need to do is align ourselves with the strength of God's word. I want to see God move. So do I. So let's find out where he's moving or what he wants to do to move. His word is alive. And God says in Isaiah 55:11, I'm going to send it out to accomplish whatever I've intended it to do. And it will not return unto me void.
There you go.
It is alive.
Wow, what an illustration. Good stuff all the way around. All right, good morning to you. 7:30 past the hour. Let's check out some of the top stories. And the administration, President Trump, is pulling some allies together in an attempt to bring an end to the war there in Ukraine. Yesterday, he hosted France's Macron, the president, Emmanuel Macron, and President Trump got together. This is kind of interesting because the exchange over the last couple of weeks was kind of strained, I guess we could say. Before President Trump took office, he was president-elect. He went to Paris to celebrate the Notre Dame Church.
Right.
And he met all the, the elites there. And that was okay, but he had some criticism. His MO is to criticize everybody, I guess. So he criticized Macron, but now they're buddies again, which is interesting. So Macron comes to the White House. They have this big powwow, especially as it relates to dealing with what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. And here's a little bit of the news conference from yesterday.
France is America's oldest ally. Our cherished partnership has been a force for freedom, prosperity, and peace from the very beginning. We're now working on some very interesting developments, one in particular, the war between Russia and Ukraine. In the American Revolution, French support helped us to seize our destiny as an independent nation. In the First and Second World Wars, our citizens shed blood together on the battlefields of Europe. And I'll never forget joining President Macron 6 years ago on the 75th anniversary of D-Day. That was some day. The purpose of our meeting today is to end another battle, a really horrible one, a war, something that we haven't seen since the Second World War, that is ravaging European soil, the deadliest and most destructive conflict that one can imagine. I've seen the pictures, I've seen the satellite photos, and lots of other photos, and it's a horrible thing that's happening. Thousands of people are dying a week. This very day is the 3rd anniversary of the invasion of Ukraine, which would never have happened if I was president. That was not going to happen. Our focus is on achieving a ceasefire as soon as possible and ultimately a permanent peace. My meeting with President Macron today was another important step forward in that sphere, because he's been very much involved right from the beginning in trying to get it over with, and we're going to get it done. I believe that Emmanuel agrees with me on many of the most important issues. Chief among them is this is the right time. It may be the only time. That's a very interesting and horrible situation, and that could evolve into a third world war. We're not going to let that happen. Should have never started, but it did. And what a mess. What a horrible, bloody mess.
Well, there you go. We'll see what happens. Macron ended up sitting down for an interview last night. I listened to a lot of that. A lot came out of that. It seems that Europe is beginning to understand what Vice President Vance had said in his big speech a couple of weeks ago, and that is you can't go down the road of speech censorship. Sooner or later, the people will erupt. But then as it relates to Ukraine and Russia, a lot going on. The president's received a lot of criticism how he's handling the Ukraine thing. And I will admit, you got to understand, Ukraine didn't invade itself. Russia invaded Ukraine. And the problem is, what do you do about this? And how do you settle this problem? Is real estate going to be part of the equation? I can't help but think it will in the end. And we sent billions of dollars to Ukraine with no accountability, no follow-up. In fact, now we're learning out that some of the money literally got laundered through and went to other parts of the world. So there's a lot of explaining that needs to be done, explanation needs to be done by Zelensky. So President Zelensky was asked, would you consider stepping down if it meant peace for Ukraine? And he said this, he said, I would step down as president of Ukraine if it meant that his nation would be accepted into NATO. And I can't say one way or another. The administration has indicated that that's a no-starter. We'll see. And that would be probably something that Russia would not accept. So a lot of criticism about the president snuggling up to Putin, and what does this mean? One of the comments says it could mean to make a deal with Putin that Russia becomes more dependent on business with the United States than it does China, but it does not guarantee that Ukraine is going to walk away with everything, because Ukraine really, in some ways, has mismanaged a lot of this money. So who suffers for all of this? The people do. And there's a part of this that hardly anybody realizes. We don't understand the problem between Russia and Ukraine as it relates to the Russian Orthodox Church. This is a big deal, and it's not talked about in the news. So it's very complicated. We'll have to wait and see. But Zelensky said, I'd step down if it meant us getting into NATO. I, at the moment, don't see that happening. All right, the other big story, which is kind of interesting, you remember about 3 weeks ago, Governor Newsom, just south of us here, went to Sacramento, sat down with the legislature, and said, I need $50 million to tell Donald Trump to take a hike. And in a state that's already basically bankrupt, they gave him $50 million to fight the administration against all of its immigration policies. Well, over the end of the last week, first part of this week, Governor Newsom had the gall to send a letter to Congress asking for $40 billion to help the fire relief in Southern California. This is almost insult to injury.
Sure.
And this is a governor that has still yet to hold a news conference as to what he's going to do with all this. The mayor's been in the news a lot, but the governor just kind of avoided everything. This is very, very messy. And he wants $40 billion from the federal government to fix the problem. In the meantime, the citizens down there have lost everything. And Melinda, you're from there.
They're not happy, yes.
You're born and raised there, yeah?
Correct. And I can tell you my family is extremely disappointed. Friends, and not seeing any action from Newsom. And meanwhile, their lives are totally changed.
Yeah.
Friends have lost everything. One of our friends, she had taken her wedding ring off to wash her hands and put it on the windowsill, and then had to evacuate, forgot it was there. And then later they were able to go back and they found it. And then a gentleman that had a jewelry store down the street that also burned ended up taking it and polishing it, fixing it, and give it back to her on Valentine's Day.
Wow.
And that was such a blessing, you know, just something so small, but the people there are coming together. We'll see what happens. I think enough people are mad, and there's still enough believers down there that maybe this is a catalyst for a shift.
Well, it is, and I think what you're sensing is not only the politics of it is just ridiculous, but on this flip side of it, the community is coming together. and organizations and churches are helping and doing the best they can. But these people lost everything.
I know.
And I think the insult to injury is when Governor Newsom decided not to give them property tax relief after losing their home. That was like salt on the wound. Yeah, calm down. I get it.
Sorry.
No, and that's the problem. I mean, this is ridiculous. So anyway, our thoughts and prayers with those people down there. And guess what? That fire and all that's damage hasn't gone away. It's still there.
Yeah.
And it's something pretty tough to deal with. So what's happening with the Pope?
Well, the Pope, he has woken up. And so Ray Thompson from the Vatican City joins Newsmax Newsline and reports on Pope Francis's being awake and receiving treatment despite kidney failure and respiratory episodes.
Yeah, the Vatican says he is awake and receiving that treatment he was prescribed, describing the 10th night in hospital as restful. That is the word they're using. But there are still worrying signs, notably, as you mentioned earlier, the fact that he had a kidney failure event on Sunday, and just a day before that, he had a severe respiratory episode. This is not signs of progress or recovery. We know that over the weekend, the Pope has received at least 2 blood transfusions, as well as at several points he has been hooked up to a high-flow oxygen machine. Doctors saying it is under control for now, but again emphasizing in these multiple health reports that by no means he is out of the woods just yet, and it would be difficult, doctors note, independent of the Vatican, to recover from this, even for someone who is half the age of Pope Francis, who is 88 years old. The Vatican emphasizing at several points as they give these updates that though he is the pontiff, Bianca, he is also just human.
Yeah, aren't we all? At the end of the day, we're all humans. Doesn't sound good. So I can't help but think that behind the scenes, the Vatican is doing everything it can to prepare for some kind of a change. And at the same time, prayers and thoughts for his recovery. Yes. 88 years old, 2 blood transfusion, and a failing kidney. That's not a good sign. So thoughts and prayers, and we'll see how that all turns out. But this could be the beginning of a putting together a conclave, because it seems to be heading in that direction. Sure. All right, we'll take a quick break, and we have some backyard bragging. We like doing that. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Get ready for fun at Rogue Ski Shop Think Snow Sale. Boulder Gear clothing now 20% off. Goggles, adults starting at $29, kids starting at $26. All Scott gloves 20% off. If you ski or ride, it's time to slide into Rogue Ski Shop Medford.
Hey, this is Ed, co-owner of Visiting Angels. To continue to serve our seniors, we need more caregivers with a heart to serve. Our mission statement is honoring the art of giving, which means we honor you, the caregiver. We know it's our people that make Visiting Angels the best in-home care provider and a great place to work. Come be our next amazing caregiver. Give us a call or apply online. At Visiting Angels, we're committed to you because we honor the art of giving.
Welcome back. 20 minutes past the hour on a beautiful Tuesday morning as the weather is changing and the sun is popping up and the temperature is slowly going up. And by this time Later in the week, we'll be well into the 60s. Yahoo! A little bit of a spring tease. All right, well, first of all, a little bit of state news. Apparently, there's a bill floating through the Oregon legislature because they're in session right now. It's called House Bill 2953, and that bill is designed to lift the cap on funding for students with disabilities. The Oregon law restricts how much money now schools can get from the state for students with disability. Lawmakers now, along with a lot of parents, are considering raising the decade-old cap. A bill that's being proposed now could possibly eliminate the cap entirely. That whole thing is starting to gain traction. I'm not sure what that means, how much money that is in the end run, but it's been introduced into the legislature. And it would be good, in my opinion, if they'd settle this now, but they always wait till the end of the session and use education as a bargaining chip to raise spending. So we'll see how that turns out. All right, backyard bragging. And we like doing that in our own immediate backyard. As you know, here in Southern Oregon, we had horrific fires a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, called the Alameda Fire, where we watched 2 of our local communities in 48 hours burn to the ground. It's still stunning to think. What you see in LA, we saw in our own backyard. And the efforts that have gone in to rebuild these cities is amazing, and especially for the city of Phoenix. And I want to say former Mayor Terry Baker, the City Council, along with Jackson County Commissioners, all the officials in the cities and the state and the county working together to allow for building permits to go through faster, work together, and literally not only help people through that tragedy, but to rebuild this community. And here we are several years later, and as we speak, there are new construction developments that will include several new businesses. Now, a lot of them are already there. The new Blackbird, if you haven't been there, it's great. But you're going to see Indio Creek Outfitters under construction, Starbucks, the Dollar Store, and Taco Bell. These are just added to the new ones that are already there. They're either under construction or soon to start or ready to open. And so Phoenix now is starting to pop up to be the place. And if you haven't been through there, you got to take the drive through there. It's remarkable. I mean, there's stores everywhere. There's businesses everywhere. It's well planned out. And again, I want to say to Mayor Baker and the team and the fire people, the fire team there and the city police, all working together, laid out this growth. It is amazing. Now, they changed some streets. So that's kind of interesting. If you remember the old streets and you used to wind around, well, that's all been changed around. But the bottom line is Phoenix is rising. How about that?
Yeah.
Phoenix is rising. All right, another little backyard. It looks like Providence on again, off again. Nurse strike is now finally settled. This is good news. I read through some of the contract and what it took to settle this, and the only word I have for it is, wow. But at least that's settled now with the Providence all out throughout the state. This went on for a long time, cost a lot of money on both sides, but they got it settled. That's good news. Then the other good news is our own backyard. In fact, quite frankly, it is Melinda's backyard.
Yes,
and
it
that
is.
The Brett Music and Arts Festival, after many years of planning, did purchase the old U.S. Hotel in downtown Jacksonville. They have renovated it, and after almost 35 years wanting to have their main offices in Jacksonville, they have accomplished that, and they've moved into the building with the grand opening.
That's so exciting. They should be in Jacksonville.
Oh.
Then they can look right up to the hill to their venue there.
To the Brit Festival.
Yeah.
This is really good. Anyway, if you're in the area coming up Sunday, March 2nd, there's going to be an open house from 1 to 5.
Yeah, I'm going to go.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And I just want to say to, Brit and all the things they do, thank you. They bring some really great entertainment to Jacksonville. The deer like it. The residents like it.
Residents like it. Poor deer.
The deer come over to the residents and say, feed me.
Yes.
Which you're not supposed to feed the deer. But anyway, it's really a great event. So congratulations. All right, let's take a look at Wall Street for a Tuesday morning. Thank you. Our folks over there at SmartLawn, they're so smart, they do the right thing. Preston and his lovely wife, Stacy. In the meantime, the Dow is up 54 points. The Nasdaq is down again. 176, wow. And the S&P down about 23 and a third point. So another day of mixed starts on Wall Street. We'll keep an eye on it. In the meantime, the gold's off a few pennies, $29.49. Silver's kind of hanging in there at $32. And crude oil kind of hanging in there at $74. So not much of a change, but it, excuse me, is a change. Sorry about that. It's a penis. I shouldn't be eating peanuts. Thank you, Barb. I'm eating chocolate-covered peanuts in the middle of the show, and it's making me cough. All right, good morning to you. What else going on?
Well, we have Sarah Nelson, who's from the Association of Flight Attendants, CWA president, joins Fox in response to this clip of Sean Duffy from the U.S. Transportation Secretary.
The FAA uses their own internet, right? SpaceX uses, everyone uses the internet. They have their own internet and it doesn't work. So we have to upgrade their system so they can actually use the internet that everyone uses. The FAA is using floppy disks to manage some of their systems. And again, some Gen Zers might not know what a floppy disk is, but if you're old enough, this is ancient technology. And for Democrats to say we're affecting safety by letting 0.8% of the FAA go, 46,000 employees, 352 people who are probationary employees were let go, and you want to say that's going to impact air traffic in the country and try to blame that on some of the incidents that have taken place over the course of the last 4 weeks? That's garbage. These are the systems that were developed over the last 4 years from this administration.
So I would agree that the system is outdated. We've been saying that for quite some time, and that's why we were so focused on getting the FAA bill passed this last year. That was a bipartisan effort. That was an effort across the airline industry to get that done, because we need to upgrade the system. And we have been talking about that actually for decades. The air traffic controllers on the front lines have been talking about the fact that they are understaffed, that they're having to work overtime to make this work, that they have to cut back capacity when they recognize that it's not safe. And that is also inefficient for the American public. We have been calling on Congress to take action on this for quite a long time, and we were finally able to get that bill passed last year. We need to go forward and implement that and continue to talk to the people on the front lines to make that work. And I would just say that I do think it's really important to keep everyone in place, have that baseline, be able to understand the people who have been working on this for a very long time to indicate where we are failing, that all of that work has already been done, and that needs to be integrated with the people who are now in charge and the experts that we can bring in order to make this the most efficient, most upgraded system in the world. And we have been behind, but we can catch up because we have the best of the best on the front lines who know exactly what to do.
Why is it behind, Perry?
Well, it's a money thing. It was, I want to be careful here because it's very political, unfortunately. But the secretary made a good point there. We have to upgrade the internet system for the FAA. In fact, I don't know why that doesn't become almost a top priority given the volume of flights in the sky at any given moment. And the upgrade to technology has to take a higher priority than anything else right now. The FAA could do this real simple, and I think now with this administration in place and having a strong advocate that understands the problem, it's not people, it's technology, and all we have to do is upgrade to technology, and we're better.
Yeah, I mean, I heard the word floppy disk. I haven't heard that forever.
You almost hate to say that, but you got to deal with reality. And reality is, the cockpits of airplanes are more advanced than some of the FAA systems.
Really?
And primarily because it works off of satellites. And so that has a lot to do with it, But the hardware inside the FAA and a lot of these facilities just needs to be upgraded to modern technology. It's an absolute truth. Now, the personnel issue, that's another issue. It's a can of worms, and that needs to be addressed too, but also needed to be thinned out based upon... let me just say this. I don't think we have any idea in our brain until recently what the move of DEI was doing in agencies and businesses. It was stifling everything. And it wasn't based on merit. It was based on these silo volumes of people that had nothing to do with their qualifications. And now that that's being wiped out, I think we'll see a big boost in productivity across the board. But it's critical. We have to bury DEI, and we're involved in a lawsuit with that. So I don't need that as a headache. But
no.
Anyway, so much for all that nonsense. Flying is still very safe, but it's kind of like, you know, at what point do you in your car do you realize you got to get another one?
I had that experience the other day. I know.
Oh, yeah.
I do know firsthand.
Well, you were locked out. That was another problem.
I had the little pickup. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
It's all yours, God. Yours, God. Everything is yours. From the stars in the sky to the depths of the ocean floor.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
Owning a small business is kind of a big deal. State Farm agent Rory Wold can help you find the right insurance coverage at the right price. Call Rory for a quote today.
Welcome to Rise Direct Primary Care. Imagine a healthcare experience where you're known by name, cared for like family, and treated with compassion. How is that possible? With an affordable, flat monthly membership, you receive unlimited primary care and minor urgent care visits. No insurance needed. At Rise Direct Primary Care, we offer a friendly, affordable healthcare experience where you get a whole hour with your provider. Located in Central Medford and accessible by phone or text, we can typically get you in the same or next day. We prescribe urgent care medications directly from our office, saving you a trip and wait time at the pharmacy when you'd rather be at home getting better. Personalized medical care with a human touch. Rise Direct Primary Care is all about healing the sick with compassion and keeping the healthy healthy. Rise Direct Primary Care. We're here for you. Visit risehealthdpc.com or call or text us 541-827-8603. 541-827-8603.
Welcome back. Happy Tuesday to you. 27 minutes before the hour. Melinda and her sidekick, the old guy. Anyway, good morning to you. There's so much going on around the world, it's hard to keep track of it.
Yes.
We not only have what's going on in the Middle East, will the ceasefire work? Will the hostage exchange continue? And then you jump over a few thousand miles and there's the problem with Russia and Ukraine. So let's check in with CBN News Watch and get caught up on both.
This is CBN News Watch.
Got a lot to get to on this Tuesday. I want to begin in the Middle East, where talks for the next stage of the hostage release deal are underway. And even as that's happening, Hamas is preparing for war again, if necessary, including mobilizing thousands of terrorists, according to Ynet News. And even as negotiations continue for long-term solutions in Gaza, Palestinian clerics are leading a campaign of hatred. Chris Mitchell reports now from Jerusalem. They're using sermons to call for genocide against the Jews.
In a Friday exhortation from Ramallah, senior judiciary official Dr. Abdullah Harb prayed for the extermination of all Jews. Itamar Marcus, founder of Palestinian Media Watch, tells CBN News his organization has discovered a trend in Palestinian Authority messaging.
5 times in probably the last 6 months, we've heard the expression, count the Jews, Allah, count the Jews one by one, kill them one by one, don't leave even one.
And these prayers come from top Islamic officials.
Some of them are Sharia judges, some of them are heads of the Sharia courts. These are very senior people in the religious establishment.
Marcus adds these sermons carry added weight, given the religious connection.
when you were telling people that they have to kill Jews because this is what their God wants, then you can't argue with them, you can't discuss with them, you can't reason with them because they believe that this is fulfillment of Islam for them. And that's why it's such a difficult situation Israel is in.
This so-called fulfillment also led to widespread celebrations on October 7th.
And that's why the film showed the Palestinians from Gaza celebrating and so happy while they were murdering Jews because they believed they were doing something for God.
When the world hears students and protesters chant from the river to the sea, many argue that's specifically about the Palestinians' right to the land. Marcus disagrees.
People like to believe that the Palestinians have a problem with Israel over territory, but when you listen to the leadership, and especially the religious leadership, you find that the Jews are the source of evil in the world. They teach that Israel was only created because the Europeans in particular had to get rid of the Jews. The ultimate solution is Allah will bring about destruction of all the Jews, and then the world will be a much better place. This is Palestinian Authority ideology.
Many of these protests in streets and capitals all over, they're calling Israel that Israel is committing genocide. How do you compare the two?
There's nothing to compare. Israel is trying to kill terrorists. The terrorists are hiding behind civilians. German civilians were killed all the time because there were soldiers amongst them. Nobody said that the Allies had to send in water and food for the German civilians while Germany was being destroyed by the Allies. Absolutely not. But here they have a different standard for Israel.
U.S. taxpayers have paid more than $16 billion to fund the Palestinians since the year 2000, not including money for UNRWA, the United Nations Work and Relief Agency. The European Union's combined contributions total $23 billion from 2007 to 2023. Critics call this nothing more than direct support of terrorism.
The Palestinian Authority should be designated today as a terror organization, should be sanctioned as a terror organization, and don't allow them to visit your country and don't give them a penny.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Turn now to more evidence of people turning against their government in populist uprising as voters in Germany, upset over an economic crisis and an open border policy, gave the right-wing party Alternative for Germany second place in national election Sunday behind the Conservatives. Those elections coming after Vice President J.D. Vance's recent address to NATO allies highlighted a growing gap between the U.S. and Europe. Vance scolded the leaders for trampling on free speech, as well as ignoring voters who are turning to parties on the right in growing numbers. Dale Hurt has the story.
It was clear from Vice President J.D. Vance's speech to NATO allies in Munich that at least politically, Western Europe and the United States under Donald Trump are moving away from each other. Vance took leaders to task over the rampant state-supported censorship in many European nations. And while Vance simply defended free speech, at least some of the liberal European elites in his audience saw him as giving aid and comfort to their political enemies on the European right. Those parties are becoming a major force. Vance addressed the issue of European elites trying to keep right-wing parties out of power.
A seismic political shift to the right was already underway in many Western democracies. Now, with the election of Donald Trump, the movement has become even more energized.
What one European leader calls the Trump tornado has struck Europe. Many British and Europeans feel they have become poorer and less free. Eurozone growth has stagnated under climate change regulations from Brussels, and the average EU nation would now qualify as one of the poorest states in the U.S. Germany, once among the world's strongest economies, is now deindustrializing to meet radical green energy goals, what the Wall Street Journal calls the world's dumbest energy policy. German economist and journalist Sabine Beppler-Spall says Germans see their falling standard of living and want a leader who will do something about it.
There is a very strong mood within a large sector of German population for very fundamental changes, for real changes.
If Trump's term is successful and Europe falls even farther behind the U.S. economically, it will only put more pressure on European elites trying to keep right-wing parties out of power. Dale Hurt, CBN News.
All right. Well, a lot going on. We'll keep an eye on it. In the meantime, Zelensky wants to have nuclear weapons, and Marco Rubio saying, no way. We need less nuclear countries in the world, not more. So we'll see how that plays out. All right, good morning to you. Let's check in with Jerry Bilden's much younger brother about the weather. In the north end of the state, up around McMinnville, all the way up through Portland and Vancouver, looking for showers and breezy weather today, but mild temperatures in the mid to upper 50s, so very nice. All the way through the Willamette Valley, pretty much the same thing. Showers here and there, a little breezy at times. Temperatures in the low to mid 50s, very nice from Eugene to Salem, and out around Albany and Corvallis. Over on the east side, Prineville, Bend, and Sand River will be mostly sunny. There may be a little snow in the morning, but then sunshine in the afternoon. Temperatures kind of mild, upper 40s to around 50. Over to Boise, very nice, 52 and partly sunny. And then back over to the Oregon coast, Coos Bay, Port Orford, Brookings, and Crescent City. Well, a chance of some rain, and then the sunshine will pop out. Temperatures kind of mild, mid 50s to the upper 60s, or 50, excuse me. And so pretty nice along the Oregon coast. Our own backyard, Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland, mid 50s today. Could see a little rain this morning, but mostly sunshine is in the forecast. Klamath Falls, 46 and sunny, and Wairika, 51 and sunny. And then into the Central Valley, Redding, Chico, Marysville, Yuba City, Sacramento, down through there, mid to upper 60s. Lots of sunshine, so very nice in the Central Valley. The Bay Area, warming up. Santa Rosa and Napa, upper 60s today after a little fog. Lots of sunshine. The city will see 66 and sunny weather. And South and East Bay, it could touch 70 degrees today. Whoa, look at that.
Gorgeous.
And guess what? There's no Jerry Bilden sighting up there.
I don't see him.
I don't see him up there. Anyway, we're looking for those those watching on the Dove Radio. Beautiful sight of Mount Ashland this morning. Bluebird weather. Some snow in the parking lot, so I got some snow last night. It's
spectacular.
Gorgeous. Yeah. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, Jerry's not on that mountain, but he is on a mountain, but not that one. All right, good stuff all the way around.
Well, it depicts an event that is the cornerstone of our faith, and it was on this day in history that the movie Passion of the Christ opened in the U.S. theaters.
On February 25, 2004, the air was thick with anticipation as The Passion of the Christ premiered in theaters across the United States. The film, directed by Mel Gibson, was unlike any other. It was raw, emotional, and intensely powerful, telling the story of Jesus' final hours in a way that many had never seen before. People lined up for tickets, some eager to witness a religious journey, others curious about the controversial portrayal of Christ's suffering. As the credits rolled, a hush fell over the theater. Some sat in stunned silence, wiping away tears. Others whispered about the film's unflinching violence and its bold approach to faith. In churches and homes, debate sparked. Was the film a beautiful testament to Jesus' sacrifice or a cinematic, graphic spectacle? No matter the opinions, it was clear. The Passion of the Christ had left an indelible mark on cinema and the hearts of millions. It was more than just a movie. It was an experience.
Wow.
Yes, it was.
Well, for those of us who saw it, we saw it in a preview a couple of days before it was released in the theaters at the NRB. And they're literally open wailing and crying in the audience.
I'm not surprised.
And it was and is such an emotional movie, an amazing hit, and not even a movement on the needle at the Academy Awards. Didn't even get it. It's not that you do it for that's not it at all, but you would think the industry itself would recognize something as unique as that.
Sure.
Being in the arts. So the new one is?
The new one is coming out April 18th, right before Easter, and it's Passion of the Christ Resurrection. And the same lead actor, Jim, I always butcher his name, Caviezel.
Better than I do.
Yeah, he is returning as Jesus. And did you know at the end, the last day of shooting, the first one, he was struck by lightning?
No.
No, I know. I remember, I mean, it's been so long ago, but I do remember numerous accounts of odd things happening on set, and even with the director, and it's kind of interesting.
I do know this. You're going to do anything for the Lord, you're going to get tested along the way.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that. Well, that's good to know. So this is coming out when?
April 18th, right before Easter. The last one was released on Ash Wednesday, so I think it's quite fitting. And
Do you realize a week from tomorrow's Ash Wednesday?
Yeah, I know.
Wow. So
already it's upon us.
Yeah, there it is. So Lent will start next Wednesday. So, all right. Well, good stuff all the way around. And in the meantime, are you blessed?
Definitely.
You know? And do you ever put blessing in perspective? We think blessing is getting all our prayers answered.
Right.
But are you blessed from the beginning? So I think William Osborne from Crossways, he really does a great job of putting this into perspective.
When we turn our attention to these verses in Romans chapter 8, 31 and 32 especially, as always, we need to take these verses in context. We need to let them speak where they are. And many have noticed how Paul seems to be kind of wrapping up a discussion that he started in chapter 5. So Romans 8 really kind of ends a big section of Paul's thinking in the book of Romans. And it's important. It's weighty. Romans 8 is a beautiful chapter that talks about life in the Spirit for God's people, the future of creation and how it's tied to that, how God's love is inseparable, how we can embrace God's plan for us in the midst of suffering. All of these are gospel issues for Paul. So when we get to Romans 8:31, Paul says, who can be against us if God is for us? And that idea is central to the notion of blessing. Blessing is this: God is for us. God is good to us. That's what it means for us to live blessed lives. And it's as though Paul is saying, you want proof that God is for you, Christian? If you need proof that God is for you, He who gave His only Son, right? What is the proof that God is for us? Where else do we need to look other than God giving the most valuable thing in the universe, offering up His one and only Son for His people? Will He not then graciously give us all things? So this text is arguing from the greater to the lesser. It's saying God has given the most valuable thing in the world for His people to show you that He is good to you. What is He going to withhold? Is it really the fact that God's going to withhold the car that you need? Is God really going to keep good things from you when He's giving Jesus? And so this text points us, I think, to the fact that as Christians, we can find comfort knowing, one, God is for us. Two, God has already given us the greatest blessing we can ever have in the redemptions that's offered through His Son, Jesus. And three, we have an eternal hope of blessing that looks like God giving us everything He ever intended us to have with Him. That's an important part of 8:32. This isn't just God benevolently saying, okay, I'm going to just, this grandfather in the sky, give everybody everything that they want. No, it is something that we possess in Christ, that it is with Him He will graciously give us all things. So for God's people, like Paul, we can say, I may be encountering suffering now, I might be hurting now, I might be imprisoned now, but those things do not compare to the glory that is to be revealed in His coming. And what is that glory? Nothing short of all things that God intends us to have as His people, that future blessing that we await.
Gosh, what a beautiful explanation and perspective. All right, we'll take a quick break and hide all these chocolate-covered peanuts. We'll be right back.
With the words, "Behold, a sower went out to sow," Jesus begins the legendary Matthew 13 parable of the sower about God's Word and draws attention to the need for good soil in order to bear fruit. This question of good soil motivates and challenges every Christian parent. Can good soil be nurtured in the lives of our children? A similar question was asked by the ancient Greeks concerning virtue. Drawing upon classical traditions like the Trivium and the liberal arts, classical Christian schools are coming alongside Christian parents to do just that, nurture good soil and virtue. Now in our 8th year serving Jackson County, Knox Academy, the Rogue Valley's own K-12 classical Christian school, is relocating to downtown Medford in order to better assist parents as they educate their children. We are currently enrolling students for the 25-26 school year. Visit us at knoxmedford.com for more information. Invest in a future with a strong connection to the past for good soil, deep roots, and fruit at knoxmedford.com.
At Kelly's Automotive Service,
being good stewards of what God has entrusted to us
is at the core of our business.
We believe what we do matters.
Every interaction, every transaction is another opportunity
to bring Christ's values into the marketplace.
If you're a technician who wants to be part of something bigger,
or just looking for a new shop to bring your vehicle,
we would love to meet you.
We're Kelly's Automotive Service,
where we service your vehicle,
but take care of you.
Good morning and welcome back to the Dove. Well, this morning, let's listen to an interview about Ruth Graham Bell Graham, and how she talks about the trials of raising her sons.
How did you respond when you first realized that those boys were wandering from the narrow way?
Well, first let me say I'm grateful that God gave us 3 girls to practice on first.
Gave you 3 girls first?
To practice on first. When the boys came along, and I realized that they were trying to seek their own identity. See, the girls eventually could marry and change their names, but the boys were stuck with the name Graham. And I really think part of it was rebellion and part of it was trying to seek their own identity. I tried to make a difference between moral issues and non-moral issues. And so many things that we make issues out of are not moral issues. Now, to me, moral issue would be lying, stealing, cheating, even disrespect. But tracking dirt in the house, an occasional fight with your brother, things like that are non-moral issues. And you've just got to make a difference between the two.
Franklin, in particular, brought some things into this house that I cannot picture you coping with. You must have had a tremendous flexibility and grace to ride with all of that.
Well, when we built the house, he was about 3.5 years old, and he was under the workman's feet all day long. And the bigger, the tougher, the better he liked them. And most of them were smokers. And I went in the attic one day, and the place was blue with smoke, and Franklin was choking up a storm, and the men were dying laughing. Well, I knew what was up, and I just walked out and slammed the door behind me. But we had a mountain man helping us at the time, and he was so intrigued by Franklin and learning how to smoke at that tender age. He came up after supper to see how Franklin felt, how he was getting along. And I noticed he had a package of cigarettes in his pocket, and I said, "Floyd, would you let me have that package of cigarettes?" And I gave Franklin one. I said, "I want you to smoke it. I want you to inhale and smoke it to the whole, you finished the whole thing." Well, he smoked it. He inhaled. He turned white. He laid on the floor. He got up, made a dash across the hall to the bathroom, threw up, came back, started over again. And he finished that whole pack of cigarettes.
He smoked the whole pack?
The whole pack. And when I put him to bed that night, I was praying for him, and I must have sounded a little concerned. He looked at me and grinned. He said, "Mom, you know when I'm grown, I'm not going to smoke." Well, he smoked off and on, I think, till he was around 21. And I was worried about his lungs, mind you. I know some wonderful Christians that do smoke, but I just don't think, for his lungs, the sake of his lungs, I did not want him to smoke.
That again, every parent's hope. Look how Franklin is today.
I know, amazing. Wow.
Yeah, wow. His book, The Rebel, is an amazing book. He talks about all those years he's come. He talked about how he would sneak across the roof of the house and go in from one end to the other to get out. And he was smoking. He did all these things. Mm-hmm. His dad was really concerned when he learned how to fly airplanes because he thought for sure he'd go out and do something crazy. But after he got his life turned around, he took delivery of a Kodiak airplane up here in Idaho. They're made in Idaho. Okay. And I was fascinated with they did a video of him coming in, going through the factory, and doing the check ride in the airplane and then flying it off himself.
Wow.
Yeah, I have to say I was a little envious of that.
Yeah, I bet you were.
Yeah, but anyway, look what he is today. So, if you have the patience and the right attitude, things can turn around for good. The Bible says when they're old, they won't, they'll return. They won't. They'll return to it. So the question is, what is old? You got two beautiful young daughters, and I hope Ryan has a shotgun by the door.
Yeah, Ryan.
Mom does. They can't date till they're 47. I've told both your daughters
yes,
that.
and they are fine with that.
Yeah, well, anyway, good stuff all the way around. All right, stick around. I got some great guests coming up. John O'Connor will be with us. It's always great to have him around. And Rainier Zeidelman will be with us. He's a historian, sociologist, and the author of Unbreakable Spirit, Rising Above All Odds. And we'll be talking to him the overnight change of what's happening in Germany. They seem to have swung to the right, but did they really? We'll talk about that coming up in a few moments. Ephesians 6, this is a great scripture for you today. Take it with you. Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on half the armor of God.
What?
Nope, it says put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes.
Amen.
All right, so what is the armor of God? The breastplate of righteousness, the helmet of salvation, the belt of truth, shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. I think I got them all. Although the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. All right, we'll be right back.
You speak life.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Hey, it's your old car here. Remember me? Remember us? You barely even turn me on anymore. It's clear you don't need me, but that's perfectly fine, my friend, because you can choose to give this old car new purpose and donate. There are incredible nonprofits out there that accept cars just like me. So call or donate online. Donating a vehicle is easy, the pickup is free, and your gift is tax deductible.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Breakfast served daily until 2 p.m. Breakfast burritos, biscuits and gravy, skillets, omelets, and more. Sweet Tea Express. Don't get caught hungry.
The National Religious Broadcasters 2024 TV Station of the Year Award winner, theDove TV.
Coach Nick Mingione started strong for the Kentucky Wildcats.
It's a pretty incredible first year. You're SEC Coach of the Year. The expectations were really high. I mean, it's hard not to, once you do that your first year, I mean, what comes next?
And what came next was disappointment.
I got on my hands and knees and was like, Lord, I'm done. Like, I surrender. Like, I'm letting go of this. I'm done trying to do this on my own. Like, I need you.
Watch the 700 Club Wednesday morning at 11 on theDove TV. Know someone who can't watch theDove? theDove TV streams worldwide on Roku and Apple TV, plus online at thedove.us. Spread the word.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and been looking forward to our guest today, Rainier Zitelmann, a German historian, sociologist, and a multiple best-selling author whose books include In Defense of Capitalism and Hitler's National Socialism. He's published 27 books, and his latest one is an amazing one called The Unbreakable Spirit, Rising Above All Odds. You may want to check that out online. He does have a website, rainier-zitelmann.com. And again, there's a picture of the landing page, and there's a picture of the cover of the book. Rainier, good to see you. Thanks for your time.
Hello, thank you.
Where are we Skyping you in from? Where are you?
I'm in Berlin.
In Berlin.
Germany, in Berlin, yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your time. Well, what's going on? You had some elections, and I'm reading mixed reviews. What's your take?
Oh, I'm not so optimistic. I think it will not change so much as it should. There should be a lot of changes, especially in the economic policy and migration policy. But I think more or less it will stay as it is, what is bad news for Germany.
So the shift to conservatism isn't real?
No, we have, we have two parties, the center-right party, CDU, this is Angela Merkel's party, which moved now a little bit to the right, the center-right party, but they got only 28%, so they can't govern alone. So they need a partner for a coalition. And they ruled out to have a coalition. We have another far-right party with 21%, the AfD, but the Christian Democrats ruled out that they will not go together with them. So they have to go together with a leftist party, with the Social Democrats, and they want exactly the opposite what is necessary. And so this is the reason why I'm pessimistic.
Who is Merz? Who is this guy?
Yes, Merz, he's since decades in the Christian Democrats. He was I think for more than 10 years out of politics. He worked for BlackRock and, he's a lawyer and businessman and was successful as a lawyer and a businessman. But then he returned back to the Christian Democrat Party, and he had Angela Merkel and they don't like themselves, and they had some arguments. I think now it's 50 years ago, and now he's her successor. But he's for a more, not very right, but more conservative politics than Angela Merkel, who was more in a way left-leaning or what we call here in Germany green. So I think in some aspects he's not on the wrong page, but he can't govern alone, so he needs a partner. And when he decided to go with the Social Democrats, I know that not much will change. So I agree with some of his opinions, but in a way, he's like, it's like some so-called conservatives, not very brave in standing against the leftist.
So what do you think, Rainier, caused the shift? I mean, why did the Social Democrats lose?
We had for 3 years, we had a government with Social Democrats, with the Green Party, so these are two left-leaning parties, and the third one was a small partner. It's the pro-free market party, FDP. And of course, they had always a lot of quarrel and arguments because what the left-leaning parties, the Green and Social Democrats, wanted was exactly the opposite what the smallest from this three coalition wanted, the free market FDP. And this was the reason why we had now elections 1 year earlier, as it should be regularly, because in the end they split over a lot of questions. I think there are two issues. The first issue, migration politics. Millions and millions and millions of migrants come to Germany. I think you know it from the United States. You have the similar problems, but in Germany, in a way, it's worse. because our welfare state is even bigger than in the United States. And so a lot of people from African countries, Arab countries, come to Germany because they appreciate our welfare system. They don't come to work here, they don't want to work. Some, of course, but most of them, they come to get social welfare. And the consequences are similar to what you had in the United States: rising criminality and all this stuff. And people, we had a lot of attacks with knives and terrorist attacks and sexual assaults and all these things. And of course, people were more and more upset. And this is the reason why the far-right party doubled their result. 3 years ago, they had 10%. And now they have 20%, and they are the second strongest party, the right-wing party in Germany. I think it's migration policy, and the other problem is the economics, because it started in the time of Angela Merkel that they restructured our economy in the direction of a planned economy. For example, they phased out nuclear power plants. Then the next thing, they banned the registration of cars with combustion engines, so everything should only be with electric vehicles, all in the pretext of the fight against climate change. But of course, it didn't work. Planned economy didn't work anywhere in the world, and so it didn't work in Germany. And the result is now that we have a very bad economy. We have the third year of a recession now. We have zero growth in Germany. And so we have these two problems together: the problems in the economy and the problems with the migration policy. And both are the result of an ideology-driven politics. It's all about left-leaning ideologies, and people have enough of this in Germany. So the majority of voters is on the right now in Germany, but because the far-right party and the center-right party, because the center-right party don't want to have a coalition with them, so this is a difficult situation.
It's a difficult situation, but it doesn't change the citizens' attitude. So it could be you're another election away from maybe becoming fully conservative, right?
Yes, I don't want to speak about conservative. Yes, it could be in at least 4 years, but maybe earlier. With this far-right party, AfD, I myself, I'm pro-free market, and they've started with a lot of good ideas, pro-free market ideas, but they moved more and more to the right. Even the other right-wing parties in Europe, for example, in Italy and in France, they stopped working together with this German party. They are not longer in one faction in the European Parliament because they turned more and more to the far right. And the other thing, what I don't like, this far right party is like pro-Russian. If you hear their speeches in the parliament, you think they are written in the Kremlin. And this is also, of course, a big issue. They were very anti-American. Now it changed because of Elon Musk and Trump now, but before they were very also anti-American and more pro-Russian. And this is also, you see, it's very complicated. This is another problem with this party. In some aspects, they have good ideas. And I think in the migration policy, they are right. You have to stop it. You have to do something against it. And also some ideas about the taxes and so I would support. But the problem is that they have some people in their party who are really extremely far right. Not all, but some of them.
Yeah. This is fascinating because I don't think, we're not hearing any of this in the American press. So back to more of a capitalistic industrial base, and yet it's gone to the green side, I guess you could say, where it's not working. Is your industrial base, is it recoverable or is it too far gone?
Oh, we still have industrial bases, but month after month, a lot of companies go insolvent. And the biggest problem is our automotive industry. We were always very proud in Germany about our BMW Mercedes, Volkswagen. They were very strong. But now they have a lot of problems, a lot of economic problems, and the reason is government intervention, as always. You know, in the past it was this way. The companies decided what cars to produce. In the end, it was consumers' choice, you know, the consumers. But, you know, with a planned economy, it's different. The government decides, and as I mentioned, this comes also from the European Union, from Brussels, the ban of all new cars with combustion engines. And this is where we are strong in Germany, not with electric vehicles. With electric vehicles, the Chinese are much stronger. And so I think it never happened before in history that a country voluntarily forbids their most successful product. You know, it's in a way funny and crazy, but you know, socialists always do crazy things, and they do it with the pretext of the fight against climate change. Everything has to be electric vehicle. And if you tell them, for example, Germany, even if you believe, I know there are some people in America who believe in climate change, others not, but even, you know, if you believe in climate change, you have to admit that the CO2 emissions from Germany, it's less than 2% of the world, 2%. So, but if you tell them here, we can save the whole world with our less than 2%, even if you put it to zero, nothing will change with the world climate. But if you put this argument, they tell you, okay, maybe, but we will be role models for the rest of the world. When they see how great it works in Germany, everyone else in the world will follow us Germans. But this was a crazy idea, because now the opposite is true. Everything in the world sees how crazy this kind of planned economy is. And of course, no one want to follow us to a policy that leads to recession and leads to economic problems.
Boy, it sounds like you live on my backyard. Let me ask you this before I take a break. How would you today, right here, describe the relationship with the incoming new administration in Germany with the Trump administration?
Very, very, very bad. You know, there was the speech of your Vice President Vance in Munich, and I think he was right in criticizing that we have not enough freedom of speech here. We have problems here. I'm right, but the problem is Russia. You know, we have the feeling here in Germany and Europe that Trump goes now together with Putin, that he feels himself closer to Putin than to Europe. You know, we were always allies for decades and decades. Of course, we made a lot of mistakes in Germany and Europe. For example, not spending enough for defense. And it was not only Trump, even before Trump, every president of the United States, whether it was Biden or Obama, everyone told us, you have to spend more on your defense. And we didn't do it. And so I understand Americans, and I think a lot of Germans understand Americans, that sooner or later they say, oh, we have enough now. You can't have it this. We are not responsible for your security, for your safety. We as Americans, we spend a lot of money and you don't do enough. And I think this way, Trump is right. And it's not the first president who has this point. But the other thing is that here in Germany, people have the impression now that Trump feels closer to Putin than to his Western allies. And this is not what, for example, you know, I'm a big Ronald Reagan fan, and I like the combination with Ronald Reagan from free market politics on the one hand, with his economic reforms, very successful, but on the other hand, being very strong, you know, against the Soviet Union. And what happens now? You asked me about the perception in Germany and in Europe, and the perception is that it is not a strong politics against Putin, but a very weak one. That even before starting the negotiation between Russia and the United States, Trump took a lot of things from the table, for example, NATO membership from Ukraine, or that they, Russia occupied parts of Ukraine. And I think we have this feeling now that he will be successful in invading another country, stealing their land, and in the end, he will succeed. And the problem is, if you give too much to imperialists, like it was with Hitler in the Second World War, before the Second World War, when there was too much appeasement, and you give them, they want more. They don't calm down. They become more and more aggressive, and this is the concern here.
All right, I think it's a legitimate one, and we're hearing more about what you just said here in America as concerns as well. Let me take a quick break. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, you can get Rainier's book. It's called The Unbreakable Spirit, Rising Above All Odds. There's the picture of the cover on the book. Rainier Zeidelman, and his website is rainier-zeidelman.com. We'll be right back.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
Looking for the perfect RV adventure?
Team Toner's got you covered from homes to homes on wheels.
Discover unbeatable deals only at American RV in Southern Oregon.
The threat of wildfire poses a growing risk to Oregonians. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory. Make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be wildfire ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
You might have said, as many people have said to me, Alex, it's too late. I've wasted years. I'm too far gone. Please don't believe that lie. You can call out to Christ. He will hear you. He will receive you. He has a plan for you. You might have a short time left in this world, you think. God still has a plan for you. And today, God's will for your life will become operative as you turn to Him.
All right, welcome back. Honored to be Skyping in live from Germany today as Rainier Zeidelman. He's a German historian, sociologist, and really quite the author, 27 books. His latest one you may want to grab is called The Unbreakable Spirit, Rising Above All Odds. There's a picture of the cover of the book on the screen. And he does have a website, rainier-zeidelman.com, and that's his website. Rainier, thank you again for your time. I know it's late there. We want to honor that, and you got an interview coming up here in a minute. I'm just curious, today, how does Germany look at the relationship with Ukraine possibly? Well, let me ask it this way. Does Germany think that it's okay for Ukraine to get accepted into NATO and possibly given a nuke?
I think this is not something for today or tomorrow with NATO, but the problem is with the Ukraine. They had nuclear weapons, and then they gave it all away. And at this time, the United States and also the Western countries promised to protect them. This was the reality in the 90s, that they had nuclear weapons and they gave it away. And Russia and the United States guaranteed that that they will not be attacked. But this is exactly what happened. And of course, even if they have a ceasefire now, or if they have, if the war comes to an end, of course, they have fear. Who will guarantee that it will not happen again? It happened before that Russia attacked us, and they will ask themselves, who can guarantee that this will not happen again? This was before the Second World War. It was the same thing. Adolf Hitler took step by step by step, and then with for example, the Czech Republic, first one part, and then in the end the rest, and then go on with Poland and everything. And of course, this is what people in Europe and Ukraine have the fear. Even if the war ends now and Putin will be successful, what is the guarantee that he stops there, that he goes not on in a couple of years, for example, to take the rest of the Ukraine? There has to be some more than only words, more than only maybe we will help you or something like this. I think this is not enough, and I think this is a big issue. You can't trust these imperialists like them, because they are liars. They lied all the time, and so there had to be some guarantees.
Very complicated, and I think what you're expressing in concerns with President Trump leaning towards President Putin is certainly legitimate. It's in the news here. One of its offset with the possibility, and this is just a possibility, that one of the reasons that Trump may be leaning towards Putin in trying to create a relationship is to wean Russia away from China.
Yes, I think so, yes.
Do you think that's true?
Maybe. It's always hard to say what Trump wants and does. He's, in a way, I'm not against Trump. I'm differentiated. In some things, I think he's absolutely right. For example, with stopping this crazy US aid, or what Elon Musk does. I like it. And even in his first time in office, deregulation, lowering taxes, or I'm not an anti-Trump, but this is only with Russia. And I think it's hard to understand what he does, because he seems to be sometimes emotional and not always rational. So the same with tariffs. I heard an interview where he said the most beautiful word in the world for him is the word tariffs. It sounds for me like someone would say the most beautiful word I heard in the English language is taxes. I think this would also be crazy. If someone, most beautiful word, taxes. I love it. I really love it. Taxes. Yes. Yeah. No one. But if you say the most beautiful word is tariffs, it's similar. So I know I have a hard position, because I'm very often in the United States, and you meet sometimes people, for them, Donald Trump is like the god. And if you criticize only a little bit, they go absolutely absurd against you. And for others, Donald Trump is like the devil, And if you say anything positive about him, they're going absurd. And so in the end, I have this problems with almost everyone, because I think, differentiated. Yes, in some things, it's good. It's really great. And in other things, I don't like him. And so, I only say what I'm thinking.
No, that's good. Good stuff. Let me ask you this. How fragile do you think the Russian economy is?
I think very. I think they are. And, even before the war started, a lot of people don't know it, the GDP of Russia was less than Italy, what is a relative, small economy. Yeah. Less than Italy before the war started. In a way, they are like a third world country. They have only their gas and they have their oil. Have you ever heard about amazing products from Russia? Maybe vodka, I don't know, maybe some weapons. But you as Americans, you have great companies like Amazon, for example, or like Google or whatever. Even the Chinese, they have some like Alibaba, and so they have some great companies, or in the United States, SpaceX, what I admire really, Elon Musk with SpaceX. But have you heard about anything comparable from Russia? No. They have their oil and they have their gas. And in this way, they are like a third world country, but only with atomic weapons. Otherwise, no one would listen to them. It's their only asset. It's in a way similar to North Korea, to this crazy Kim Il-jung. What does he have? Also a bad economy, only this atomic weapons. Otherwise, everyone would laugh at him. And, they have not a strong economy in Russia. They didn't have it because there's a lack of entrepreneurship. This is not capitalism that what you have there in Russia. This is like kleptocracy. Some politicians steal everything from the people, and so this is not an efficient economic system that they have. Don't call it capitalism. Don't miss it. It has nothing to do with capitalism.
Listen, I want to respect your time. I know you got another interview coming up in a minute. Can we get you back? You're fascinating.
Absolutely. Let's go back even in the next couple of days, because I want to speak here about, this is the newest book. There's one is more new, The Origins of Poverty and Wealth. Steve Forbes praised it. Let's talk about it in the next few days. Yes?
Okay. Okay. Is that available now online?
Yes, absolutely. It's available on Amazon, The Origins of Poverty and Wealth. Okay. See you. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you for your time. God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay.
It can be puzzling assembling all the right pieces for your insurance needs in retirement. I'm Michelle Slate. Lighthouse Financial shines guiding light on retirement, investing, and insurance. Guiding you through the stormy seas of insurance, Lighthouse stands out as a beacon of hope, offering you wise counsel and biblically responsible investing. Lighthouse Financial. Call us today, 541-494-1034.
Welcome back. Always a delight to have John O'Connor with us, and I value every moment he gives us. John is formerly a federal prosecutor. He's an experienced trial lawyer, author of a couple of books, the Postgate book, and how the Washington Post betrayed Deep Throat and covered up Watergate, and what began what we call today's partisan advocacy journalism. He's also served as the assistant U.S. attorney in Northern California, representing the United States in both criminal and civil cases, and he does have a website, postgatebook.com, where you can pick up both books, not only Postgate, but the sequel, and that is The Mysteries of Watergate. And again, that's postgatebook.com. And John is now, since being on theDove, seen on all kinds of networks. I remember when it was just me and you, John.
Yeah, exactly. Back in the day. Exactly.
Good to see you.
You were my stepping stone, Perry.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, John. Thanks for your time. Good to see you, friend. So Pam Bondi's in as the new Attorney General. What's your take, and how do you think she's approaching things?
Well, I think she's really good. You can't in any way criticize her. She's the real deal. and she's going to straighten up the department pretty well. And she's going to carry out suits against the states that think that they can do whatever they want in federal law, that they can take federal money without complying with federal law. So she's going to be real good. Within her own Justice Department, of course, as a semi-independent adjunct is the FBI. So the combination of Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, I think, is excellent. You can't criticize them. They're going to straighten this thing out. There's a very, very decided ideological tilt to the Justice Department and the top leadership of the FBI, which normally you say, so what their political leanings are, except that in our modern day, if you're a progressive lefty, you're not doing your job if you don't skew things in favor of your cause, as opposed to trying to be a down-the-middle civil servant. So I think they'll restore added balance. I'm very happy about it.
Do you think there will be a looking back as much as there is a looking forward? In other words, I don't know if former FBI or DOJ officials who basically weaponize their departments will ever be held accountable.
The only way they'll be held accountable, I mean, it's too late in the day for any criminal prosecutions, and I think that went the way of the dodo bird with John Durham. He couldn't, these guys covered their tracks. They're excellent at it. They investigate white-collar crimes, and so while they're committing them, they know how not to leave a paper trail. There's not a piece of paper between McCabe and Comey as they're plotting out this Russian collusion hoax. They knew the whole thing was phony and that they were doing a lot of phony things. So, but here's where Patel and Pam Bondi are going to do very well. The way you punish somebody within that system is simply reassignment. If you have a staff position, if you have the head of a section within the Justice Department, Pam Bondi just takes you and makes you a staff lawyer and puts the person in charge of the division, somebody that's more fair and down the middle, doesn't have to be conservative, just down the middle. And in the FBI, that's a time-honored J. Edgar Hoover custom. When somebody's acted up, they find themselves in Billings, Montana, doing background checks. And so you can hurt somebody without firing them, without taking bread off their table. But if they've acted ideologically in a organization that shouldn't be ideological, I'm not suggesting ideological payback or that making everybody into little Ronald Reagans. I'm just saying that they shouldn't be acting ideologically, and they have. We know that with the Joe Biden laptop thing and other things. So I think that this is going to be an easy one to straighten out. I wish all the problems and all the issues that Trump is addressing were this easily handled. Those two people, it's going to be a piece of cake. I'm very close to both organizations and understand it. And by the way, if you talk to retired FBI agents, you talk to retired Justice Department people, they'll agree with me. This ship needs to be turned around a bit, but it's easy to do.
Okay. That's good news across the board. I have a couple out-of-the-box questions. How can ICE go into a sanctuary state and get the job done?
That's a billion-dollar question here, Perry. In theory, federal law is paramount. The federal government has the ability to enforce immigration laws. It's never been explicitly stated that the states have to help the feds enforce immigration laws. On the other hand, what you can't do is you cannot obstruct an investigation. You can't impede an investigation. In common law, there is something called misprisioning. Misprisioning is a funny word of felons, where you basically almost harbor them, but at least don't cooperate in their apprehension. That's what I think the states are doing now. So there are various things to do. And I think ultimately it'll be successful because I think Trump does have some power of the purse here to say to a state, you're not cooperating with us. Normal law enforcement cooperation. Remember, there are many people that are arrested in Illinois and are on trial in Missouri, and the governments cooperate. It's a normal thing, and there's no law written down that says you have to cooperate, but it makes sense. And if the states say we're going to release in spite of Tom Homan giving us a hold order, we're not going to go along with it. We're just going to release them. You're getting real close to obstruction of justice. So there are different things to do, and I think Pam Biondi's doing it the right thing. I think she's going to sue him, and I don't know all the various bags of cash she can pull as a result. I just don't know.
So, in theory, is sanctuary states / cities illegal?
I say yes, in the sense that if that means not cooperating with the federal government, at a certain point, once it becomes something more than simply sort of like a Martin Luther King not civil disobedience, but just not doing anything. As long as you're doing something that can be considered impedance or obstruction, then you're committing a crime. Now, that's a fine line. To what extent, like I say, you no longer have this concept of misprisioning felons, which is what they're doing. The question is whether you go one step further into obstruction. So I think some of what they're doing is actually illegal and could actually get criminal penalties. So I think Congress could solve this with the law giving civil remedies, simply saying, if you don't cooperate with us, the government has the right to pull any grant that is given from the federal government, period, if you're not a, quote, cooperating state, unquote. And think about it. Why should the federal government give out money to a state that says, oh, no, we'll take the money for the health care, and we'll take other money. In fact, we'll take money for our justice system. An awful lot of the justice systems are financed by the feds. But as to these people, we're not going to enforce the law. Thank you very much. Yeah. I think they ought to just. I think now. I don't know. Right now, there'd be lawsuits, and there are going to be lawsuits, obviously, when you start pulling money. But I think Congress can fix it with one bill that's very simple, that can be written in a page. You don't cooperate with the federal government, we can pull whatever grants are given to you.
The reason I'm kind of drilling down on this, John, just a little bit. Oregon's the oldest sanctuary state in the country, and we have county sheriffs that are stuck. I know a lot of county sheriffs don't want to harbor bad people. They'd like to have them picked up and gone away with, but they're under the constraints of the state to cooperate with the state law. And what I'm interpreting through this is they're not going to hinder ICE from coming in and gathering them, but they're not going to help them either. So they're kind of in a sticky wicket here. That's the only thing I can come up with, because how would a sheriff who would really like to uphold the law want to harbor a bad person when the feds are trying to get them, and yet he's under the jurisdiction of the state law?
Well, I'll say this theoretically. Let's say somebody in the, Corvallis says to a sheriff, oh, by the way, there are going to be raids, and when the raids come, I direct you not to answer any questions and not to tell people what's going on. You're getting real close. That act of telling the sheriffs that and constraining the sheriffs, or telling the sheriffs, here's the kind of activities you have to take, and our purpose is, in so many words, to keep that person from being arrested. I think, and I prosecuted a few obstruction cases and harboring fugitive cases, I think any assistance to a fugitive is harboring. So I think literally they can be, at least the people in the State House, whoever it is that's directing these programs, I think they literally are subject to criminal penalties. Now, I don't know if anybody's got the guts to do that or if they're going to get a Oregon jury to convict somebody. But, you know, I'll give you an example. A young guy out of law school, this is a case I was associated with. I had some harboring fugitive cases with terrorists in Northern California. And one young guy in Arizona wants to be a real man of the people and was working with an Indian tribe in Arizona. And his friends come over and visit him, and they've got a fugitive with them that they've busted out of jail in California as part of a terrorist group type of thing. And they hand him a newspaper that shows a picture shows a write-up of what happened on the breakout. And the guy gives the newspaper back to the guy, and he says to the fugitive, gee, watch yourself here. Go ahead, watch yourself. Hope don't get caught. See you later. Well, that guy was convicted of harboring a fugitive. It doesn't take much to harbor a fugitive, and you have a fugitive in your hands, and it's very hard to draw that line between just simply putting your hands down and not saying anything, and a bunch of people plotting to make sure that the feds don't get information. If it's a plot to keep information from the feds, I say that crosses the line into harboring. You're actually doing something, even what you're doing is a conspiracy of omission. I think you're committing a crime. Wow. And nobody wants to test what I'm saying to you, but I think a literal interpretation of the statutes would say they are harboring fugitives. These guys are fugitives from justice. And so
that's interesting.
If you had a fugitive at your house, Perry, and the cops come over and say, hey, we understood there's a fugitive here. What's up? Not going to talk to you. Sorry. You're getting real close to harboring.
Okay. I hear you. Okay. One quick question before I take a break. Do you find it interesting that with all the challenges coming after Doge, primarily Elon Musk, that the courts seemingly are ruling in his favor to go ahead and fire people and make cuts?
No. Although I think there are going to be some shoes dropping. There may be cases in which the government has to pay damages, and that depends upon whatever agreement has been reached with these so-called government unions. But beyond that, I think he has the right to do it. Remember, Judge Chutkan in D.C. did not stop this whole firing thing, but she asked a lot of questions that looked to me, and she's a very anti-Trump judge. She was a really tough one on January 6th. She may be laying the groundwork for a suit for illegal firing of people. I think that case has not played out yet. I think we got to watch that space, Perry, is what I'm saying.
So illegal firing basically is interpreted as wrongful dismissal, so you just get paid damages, right?
Right. Sometimes the judge can order reinstatement, actually, but get back pay and reinstatement. I suspect that in a case like this, there could be some back pay, but I wouldn't rule that way, but all I'm saying is it's not clear that some of these people are not going to get damages.
All right, let me take a quick break. Always a delight and an honor to have with us John O'Connor. Check out his website, postgatebook.com, and that's also where you could order up his two books, The Mysteries of Watergate and Postgate. Both those books are very relative today, especially to what's happening in media. Check it out, postgatebook.com. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm Guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Breakfast served daily until 2 p.m. Breakfast burritos, biscuits and gravy, skillets, omelets, and more. Sweet Tea Express. Don't get caught hungry.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? When you want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life, call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
We're talking here about the procedure of faith. After Elijah had done what God already told him to do, then the word of the Lord came to him. And that is the way the procedure of faith always works. It's the procedure of step-by-step obedience before the Lord. We obey one command, and then he gives us another. We take one step, and then he leads us to the next step. And that's very uncomfortable for me and for all of you too. Can I get a witness? We want to know the whole story. We want to see where it ends up. We want to know what problems we're going to face between A and Z. But God doesn't work that way. He leads us one step at a time.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
Okay, welcome back. And John O'Connor's back with us today, former federal prosecutor. He's written a couple of books. You may want to check them out at his website, postgatebook.com. For those watching on TV, watching on radio, there's a picture of the landing page. The Mystery of Watergate and Postgate, both books I think you'll find to be fascinating reads and quite frankly, relevant to what's going on. John, I was thinking through the break here, if I could lift your mind a little bit from laws and statutes and fine lines, what do you think is President Trump's, what do you think he has in mind in the way he's handling trying to settle the war with Ukraine? I just had a guy on from Germany, well-respected journalist, and his take was he doesn't like the friendliness to Putin. And that's starting to gain traction here in the United States. I'm hearing more and more about this. What's your take? How do you view this transaction?
I think it's really rich that people who don't like Trump and call him a dishonest guy and a guy that is just this inscrutable deal maker, that you have to take him at face value. He's a deal maker. Do you think when he's dealing with the lenders on one of his Atlantic City casinos that he's going to be straightforward with them about his plans? Oh, I'm going to blow up this casino if you don't give me forbearance.
Yeah.
Well, of course, he's bluffing, but you don't know that. And so what I would say is this. He's certainly playing a game with Zelensky, okay? So there's no doubt he wants Zelensky not to have his feet in concrete. So if he perceives, and remember, this is something that I do every day, and every lawyer does this every day, goes to mediations, and the mediator is trying to think of how to get each person to the table. One may be willing, and you don't need to work on him. The other ones you need to blast, and you need to figure out how to get to them. In this case, it may well be that he knows what Putin is going to do and what he will agree to, whereas Zelensky may be a harder sell, and Zelensky may be thinking he's got this rock-solid public support and he's always going to get money, so he can cross his arms and demand different things. And I think Trump is now in the process of convincing Zelensky, you got to do what I tell you to do. Okay, so that's number one. Now, my question is, and another thing is, Putin has to sell this. So if he looks like Trump is doing something that helps Putin walk away with his head held high, where the United States president is saying, "Oh yeah, Putin, he's my kind of guy. Great, we cut a deal. This thing never should have happened." Okay, here we are. Now, it certainly validates what Putin has done, and Putin does not feel the need to go forward. If you wanted to get Putin to keep fighting, you would make all kinds of nasty noises about him and about how terrible it is and how we're going to settle this thing and it's going to be a terrible defeat for Putin to have to do this. You've just screwed up that deal. You've to use a colloquial word, you've queered the deal. And so I'm hoping that that's what he's doing, that he's being opaque about this, he's being a deal maker. We don't know what he's saying to Putin behind the scenes. We don't know what Putin's telling him. And Putin may be saying, "Hey, let me out of this. Just give me the land I've got, and I'm happy with it." Because remember, this is what he always wanted. He wanted a land bridge down from Russia down to Crimea. That was very apparent for a long time. I think it's too bad he got it. But now that he's got it, as a realistic deal, are we going to send troops in to try to get him out of there? No. So the deal should be there. Does Putin realistically, have an ability to go beyond what he's got? No. So I think the deal is there. I think then what you do is you promise not to get him into NATO. And I got to be cynical about this. That promise is really going to be worthless. The next president can come and say, I don't agree with that. We're going to put him into NATO. But I do feel bad for the Ukrainians. Obviously, the Ukrainians did not get us into this war. Joe Biden did. If you read Bob Woodward's book, he gives you a roadmap as to how that happened. And we all know that Obama didn't help by allowing people to come into Crimea. And Obama and Victoria Nuland of the State Department destabilized Ukraine. A payment of $15 billion in late 2013 to Yanukovych in exchange for signing up the EU cooperation agreement that Yanukovych had agreed to but hadn't signed. Yanukovych said, "I'm not going to sign this unless I get enough money to make up for my lost Russian benefits." The Obama administration saw this as an opportunity to get rid of Yanukovych, who's a crook, of course, but they all are in Ukraine. They decided to play games and destabilize Yanukovych's power, and look what happened. How many billions are we out, and how much land are the people of Ukraine out of here? We had promised Ukraine security assurances on several occasions when they took their weapons. So I'm preaching here a little bit. United States broke this country, and I think it's terrible. And I think what Biden did and Obama did was terrible. But now that it's a fait accompli, now that what's happened has happened, we have to recognize the facts on the ground. And I think Trump's doing the right thing. This whole idea that he's in love with Putin is just sort of nonsensical. I think Trump knows how to handle Putin. He's given Putin pride. Putin's a guy who likes to ride bare-chested on a horse. What's that about? Or score goals in the hockey game. He's like a little Russian Trump.
Okay, so is it also, it's been written that part of this is to wean Russia off of China in this negotiation. Do you think that's possible?
Well, yes. I think one of the things Trump's going to do is he's going to tell Putin behind the scenes that he's going to restrict Iran's oil. He's going to sanction Iran, but not sanction Putin on his oil. So he's going to give Putin a lot of leeway. And yes, if he is giving Putin a lot of leeway in his financial world and so forth and so on, and sort of a buddy-buddy this and that, I think the interests of the two companies start not to align anymore. And I think this is a very good thing that Trump's doing there. I think being a friend of, it's just like the old days when Nixon and Kissinger decided they'd befriend China and split China off from Russia. This is the reverse of that. And, it's really playing the Russia card or playing the China card backwards. So I think it's a really good end result of this. Now, whether Trump's planning that as part of the strategy, probably some of his smarter people are thinking that. But yes, I agree with that idea.
Where does the Crown Prince come into the negotiation? Why is he involved in this?
Optics, there really isn't any real, truly meaningful role other than simply optics.
Okay. Well, this whole thing's been interesting. Does Zelensky survive in your thinking?
Yes, I think he's still a hero. I think he'll survive. And, one of the fallouts, Perry, and watch this space, I've been talking about it for years. Zelensky's mentor and main supporter that got him into politics was the most corrupt man in Ukraine. And there's a lot of money missing. So we're going to settle this. And I think what we're all going to find is that about half the money we sent to Ukraine was stolen. The guy's name is Igor Kolomoisky. He's sort of overlooked. Hunter Biden carried his water because this guy was also the real owner of Burisma. But the guy was a crook. He stole billions from the United States, and Biden protected him. And the media did not report it at all. For Trump's perfect phone call that he got impeached for, he was telling Zelensky to investigate corruption. Well, Zelensky got elected because of a corrupt guy supporting him that was now going to be able to come back into the country. So you've got a tremendous amount of corruption. So we're going to see a lot of corruption in the outcome here after this. But Zelensky's, I got to say this, I love the guy. I think he's got some guts, and I admire him. And when Biden was really ready to turn his back, everybody acts now like Biden's this supporter of Ukraine. He wasn't. He gave him up. He wrote him off as toast at the beginning, wouldn't give him MiGs, wouldn't give him anything when Zelensky really could have done some damage to him. So Zelensky's got, he's a hero in my view, even though, yes, he's in a bed of corrupt sharks there.
I think what you ought to do, John, I'll just give you a little word of advice because you're so smart. I think you ought to just take what we just talked about and turn it into a book. You're giving some background here that none of us knew. You need to sit down and do that. You're not doing anything from midnight to 6. Try this.
I'll tell you what, some of this stuff I've written about, if your viewers can go to Postgate Book, they'll see some of my articles on Ukraine that go way back where I warn about all this stuff and I talk about it.
All right.
Nobody.
It's a book, brother. You need to write it. It's a book. Thanks, John. God bless you. Good to see you. Stay in the fight, buddy.
Yeah. Take care, Bear.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients